energy going into many different things. And
Indeed, it is so much going on. It's kind of almost too much in some ways, but
yeah,
we're
what
just
you
doing our
mean.
best.
Hello.
Hey, Pressy.
Hi.
It's 3 o'clock.
So let's go ahead and jump in and get started. Our main focus would be working with you, Dana, if you have any questions or you need help with anything for your organizations or yourself, and just reminding that we're broadcasting everything. So let's do a quick round of check-ins, how we're doing, and anything else going on. I can. Oh, and then Presti, if you want us to help with notes, I put the doc for the notes in the chat.
Do you have a note already?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
And we should be ready if we wanted to get the team support template, but I think we'll be all right either way. All right, so I'll start with check-ins. I am doing okay. I'm like a 2.5, maybe a 3. It has definitely been a lot overwhelming, so much going on behind with everything, but I'm trying to stay focused and not worrying about the endless events going on and just try to take care of myself and help out as much as I can. So I've been supporting and helping a lot of organizations and groups, and so this is sort of trying to create a space to kind of organize it all into a more functional space that can be more helpful for more people. Yes, and I've been working on mainly the Fruition Collective. I've been trying to help the conversation, but I don't know what's going to happen with that. And then I've also been working with Eco Rainbow Goddess and
Humanity?
No, the other one, the Humanities Harmonizing Humanity. I love it. It's such a wonderful name, but I always have to take me a second to remember. And then also working with Glow. Glow's supposed to hear. The reason we scheduled it this particular time was for Glow. So maybe Glow and the Eco Rainbow Goddess will show up in like an hour or so. But I'm prepared to go as long as we need to do it all. And then we also have the new moon coming up later. But yeah, overall we do our organizational and life support sessions for new and full moons. But during planetary sessions, we can schedule more time, and I'm always open to doing at least like once a week. Because it's just never ending in terms of helping organizations get functional and support. So yeah, check. You want to go next, Dana, and then we'll go to Pressy?
Yeah, thank you for offering these. I really appreciate that. I'm not exactly sure what's offered here, and that's part of why I came, to see what we could explore. And but it's very nice of you to offer support. And I actually just led a meditation, what I'm calling Coherence Infusions. Today's was on the theme of trust and support. So I was reminding people that they're always supported, especially on a larger level. Like there's always support. So here we go, support and the new moon. New moon is my favorite. I feel like, that my energy has been very kind of like spread among a lot of different things and initiatives. And there's Angie. And then sometimes I just have to kind of back down a little bit, and sometimes I don't have the mental bandwidth to participate in everything. And I also feel I want to kind of focus in on some of the priorities, the things that I've sort of deemed as my priorities. I don't think we can hear all that.
Sorry. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Okay.
And I don't know, today I had a couple things I wanted to ask for in terms of support, but do I do that a little later? How do we do this?
Yeah. So we're gonna basically the agenda becomes individuals, and we'll go through each individual and help them out and prioritize that and get agreement on the order and stuff. So that sounds great, Dana. Let's go on to Pressy. Do you want to check in? And then we'll go to Glow and Angie.
I'm gonna go check in. I'm about 5. It's 7 o'clock in the morning in my place. I've been supporting the new recruits with the canopy, and stage 5 onboarding, hoping that this organizational support, I'm looking forward for this organizational support and to help our organization. Thank you.
Cool. All right, Angie, Glow, you guys want to check in real quick, see how you're doing?
Hi, everyone. We are here. We were in this class and we just walked out so that we can make it to the meeting. But we were just in a gifting circle. And it was super beautiful to be in this gifting circle and just like getting in touch with everybody there who is into this type of life style of creating the new earth. So excited.
Nice to see you, Angie.
Is Glow there? Does she want to check in, or will maybe when they get back? It looks like they're moving around, so it's kind of messing with the flow a little bit. So overall,
I'm excited to be here. Hi,
oh,
Jay.
there's Glow. We can hear you now. We couldn't hear you for a second. It's kind of breaking up. So Glow, you're kind of breaking up a bit. All right, so let's say we had like 8 people here or something like that. Even like 6 or 7, like we would break up into smaller groups to start with, and make sure that there's a little buddy team check-ins and support, because sometimes that is what people need, is just actually because if there's like 20 people on the call, you're not going to get much accomplished, right? So we always try to break up into smaller groups of 5 to 10 people, but also breaking up for buddy team check-ins. But I think with just the 3, 4, 5 of us, we'll be fine. We didn't hear Glow, by the way, Angie. I don't know if you can hear us, but
oh yeah, let me get her back on, okay?
Okay.
We broke up there for a minute.
Cool.
Here.
All right. So
you're waiting for your intro. Hello. There you go. Is this working now? Yeah. Okay. Yes. Welcome to this space. So grateful for all of you for showing up, for always being here, for the energy and the keys that you hold, for building the new earth, and looking forward to collaborating and communicating these new spaces. And we just had finished a circle on the new economy and what we have experienced in a gifting economy. So it's super exciting to be in spaces like this and for so many people to share their ideas and wisdom, and excited to meet these new people that I've never met. We are currently in Costa Rica, and yeah, I'm gonna open this space up.
Great, thanks, Glow. And then we also have Hanel. Hanel, if you want to check in real quick, and Pressy already checked in, and Hanel's another new worker with us.
Yes. Hello, everyone.
Hey. You want to check in to say how you're doing, where you're at, all that kind of stuff?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, just check.
Yes, I'm from Venezuela originally, but I'm living in Panama right now. So I'm very excited to be here for the first time.
Cool. Great. So let's go ahead and jump in and get started. Our first focus is really just getting agreement on our agenda and sort of time frame. So I'm here for at least 2 hours, maybe 2 to 3 hours, and people want to leave early. So if someone needed to leave early, that might be a reason to do them first. The agenda is the people, the individuals, right? So our main focus is Dana, Glow, Angie, and then there's myself, Pressy, and Hal, but all of the 3 of us are with the Afghan Community Network, so we're going to be fine either way. So our main focus is on Dana, Angie, and Glow. And we want to make sure it's clear that each person gets time and space, and that we make sure that everyone is able to address the needs that they have. They might have multiple organizations that you might have questions about, but that's up to each person to decide. So Dana, you said you was pretty new. Like, just to give a description, it could be related to anything for your organization or any organization you might want to create or any other organization you're working with, in terms of just asking questions, getting different ideas, getting issues related to finances or structure or bank accounts or legal options in relationship to what kind of structure a business or organization would take. And you could also think about what might happen down the road, a year from now, or planning in general. So and then also many times organizations have individual components where an individual's needs actually is essential to the component of supporting the organization. So this is all part of our life support program, and so it also can go into individual needs. It's really up, each person gets to decide what they want to talk about. But in this space, we're looking more at organizational support. So the question for you, Dana, would be like, how long do you think overall you might want to ask questions and talk about different ideas for your...
Maybe, I don't know, 15 or 20 minutes, depending on your
Well,
answers.
let's say
I'll just tell you what I have going on, and,
Well, we're gonna- let's
then we
wait.
can see.
Yeah, that sounds
I'm
good.
not going to do it quite this second, but I was
Well,
just going to say that I'll... Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, so we're just going to make sure, I'll put you down for 15 to 30 minutes. That's a good start. Obviously, sometimes things evolve and go on, but if we decide to collaborate over time, the idea is just to prioritize and make sure we can continue the support and the conversations over time. So Glow and Angie, I think you guys should each go separately. So the question is, who wants to go first? Do you guys want to go before Dana? Do you want to go after Dana? And making sure we have agreement on our agenda.
I think Glow was scheduled first, so yeah, I'm happy if she goes first.
Okay, I'm down for Glow to go. So Glow, do you want to go before Dana?
I'd like to know just like maybe the structure or the format that we're doing first to get a kind of clear picture of.
So the structure and the format is just individual needs. It's all based on individuals. So once it's your turn, we're going to focus 100% on Glow and everything that you need to be successful, and we're all going to support you. So in that space, you can bring up anything that you want, and if you want to focus on, for example, your business or project you're working on, you're welcome to decide. Does that make sense? In terms of the format, the idea is that whoever is the agenda item would control the format during their space, and so the way that Dana might approach it might be very different than how you or Angie would approach it. That make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So right now we're just trying to get agreement on the order, because the order does matter, because you know how these things can go. You can go on for a long time. So the question is how much time that you think you might need, Glow, to go over your goals.
I would say maybe like 10. Like I would prefer to do like a short 10-minute overview, because I feel like there's a lot to cover, but I feel like it would just be good to kind of be timed on a 2-minute, see how fast I can get through things, and then from there go back and forth. I don't know what the best formatting
Okay,
is.
so maybe a quick 10 to 15 minutes, help Glow get organized and understand it, then go to Dana for 15, 30 minutes, and then maybe go back to Glow for another chunk of more 20 to 30 minutes, and then go to Angie, and Angie probably is going to be another 30 minutes or so. Does that sound good? Dana?
Sure.
Yeah, I kind of feel like maybe some of the things where me and Angie and Glow are doing might be connected, and we could support each other. So that would be kind of cool.
Exactly.
If we all listen to each other. And I wasn't planning to be here for a whole 2 hours though. So maybe, I don't know,
Yeah.
if we all go, within the first hour. So it'd be.
Yeah,
that would be good. I'm down with that.
Yeah.
Cool. Sounds good. So I like the idea of starting with Glow, and then we can go into Dana, and then maybe do a short one with Angie, and then go back into Glow. I don't know. It's up to you guys what you guys want to do. But we can always just start with Glow, and then we can reconsider what we call it a view up after Glow, and then go from there. Okay?
Okay.
So maybe do a little view up after Glow and or Dana. Awesome. So are there any objections to starting with Glow going on to Dana and then doing a view up, trying to get everyone in within the first hour, and then for the second hour we can go into wherever we want from there. Are there any objections to that? Cool.
Nope.
All right, so it sounds like we have a
great.
plan, so we're going to jump into Glow and get some focus here.
It's 3:15.
So Glow, just topics, organizations, just get us started by helping us focus. And I think Dana is 100% right. And this is part of why I like doing this in a group setting, is because everything applies to everyone else. Like, what the issues that we are going through individually usually resonate into the field of the world, and that everyone's going through something, similar at similar times. So anyways, so you want to start with like the organization you want to focus on, or the needs, topics. I mean, you can go into individual stuff. I know in general one of your priorities is, stability as an individual and things like that. So anything you want to share as far as like getting us focused, and then we'll go into organizing the steps.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna quickly go on the macro vision and then go like into the personal solo mission. Macro vision is to build a decentralized network that unifies all conscious organizations and beings, so that we can redistribute the planetary resources so that everyone is abundant and we have infinite abundance for everyone, and shifting from a fossil fuel economy into regenerative currencies, reducing plastic and expanding the local economy. So completely flipping the script. I think that the most important thing that we can do right now is create media in the form of news and also mythical storytelling and campaigns to fund these different projects so that people can learn about them. Because the biggest challenge that we have is actually telling our story of all the amazing projects that are going on aren't in the high-level media because it's controlled by the government and the fiat currencies and the banks who just write notes. So being able to break through that through the media, I feel, is the most important thing. And being able to multiply this new story, that we continue to co-create a new story. And once we can reach 7 billion, then we can actually shift our collective world, because everything is created through a story. So that being a network, and then the media distribution. So that we have live positive stories of inspirational change occurring at all moments, so that we can, I don't want to say reprogram, but offer society a new way of looking at the world and creating the world. And so that is one thing. And then specifically, I'm focused on creating my own series about my life, the people, those around me, and the stories and the inspiration around me, and also telling the eco solutions globally, but of course focused specifically here in Costa Rica, as I am in Costa Rica right now. And then the challenge with that, and then also basically focusing on the products. So working with organizations, what we can call businesses in this moment. All the products that we consume right now, like Procter & Gamble and Nestle, are going to the 1%. So how do I support, one of the missions is to, through this media, support these products and allow it an expansion of these businesses. So inspiring people to shift their own lifestyle into supporting businesses. But right now, it's not easy to find these products. So making it easy through media as well. It's another channel, but everything has kind of come centrally to the media, and then also, of course, to the heart. What I would say is that I am needing right now is the stability in my own personal currency, and then also having that structure, that foundation of like, am I a single company? As in right now, like if I become a corporation, I have more rights than my personal being. So how do I actually create rights for myself now? Do I create an organization? Do I create a nonprofit? Do I create a business? What is the most important step to solidify that? And then how do I've been discussing this with Jewel from the Heart Wisdom Councils, like how do I create this like pillar for myself, and then I can move into different circles and organizations as I do, to offer support in regards to media and telling these stories. So if I have like one stable structure in one organization, then it'll be easier for me to move and circle and navigate flow throughout these other organizations.
I missed that last part that you said, but overall I'm looking pretty good.
How do I create the ease of flow to move throughout other organizations to assist them, and first become a pillar by myself, like not by myself, but within the network of the new paradigm?
Yeah, so that right there is the hardest question you've asked by far. So we'll put that towards the end. I think that is a question for all of us. Like, how do we support the movement? If we all knew exactly how to do it, probably would be a much better, sustainable and effective movement in terms of transforming the world. So that's a really good question that might be a bigger context. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I have 5 topics that you brought up, and then the 6th one with this broader context of the flowing and connecting with other groups and organizations, and as an individual, that's a very interesting dynamic, and maybe we'll get to that, and maybe other people have ideas that I might have. So what I got is the first one was collaborative decentralized network, and the question there is that a media focused on collaborative decentralized media network, or is that a broader just collaborative decentralized network for overall supporting the planet?
So I would say the decentralized network is to just unify them, but then one aspect of that would be just focus on be like a specific media network.
Maybe just to say both.
Yes. Both.
Okay, so let's just go with both. So there's 2 networks. One network is collaborative decentralized network for unification and planetary alignment, everything, right? Right? Then the other one is a specifically basically a collaborative decentralized media network that focuses primarily on the media side of the work. So from there,
can you repeat that again?
So the two networks that I heard is one that is a collaborative decentralized network for unification and planetary alignment, right? Which is the bigger picture. And then you have also a collaborative decentralized media network that focuses on the themes of, specific media projects and in the storytelling, transformation through storytelling, right?
Basically transforming our entire collective society through telling the stories and the inspirational organizations. So as organizations would join the network, they would be automatically lifted up into this network that already has the reach of the collective.
Perfect.
So onboarding them, being able to tell their stories, how are they becoming a hero in their own journey? Like how is Emmanuel from Burundi, Greening Burundi, Africa, he has now planted 250,000 fruit trees because of desertification and no food for his community in Burundi, and now he's become a hero. And his goal is he's planting 50 million trees by 2030.
Amazing.
So that's just one example.
That's just unbelievable. Yeah. So so there's many stories to tell, and then the other one was your own story, right?
Yeah.
Your own services that you're supporting. So I got that, and then I had personal stability for your own needs, and then there's products. They had the whole line of different various products that you talked about, and then the last one was rights for myself to create an organization, nonprofit, like which one to do, what's the best next step, etc., etc. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6. Does that sound correct? And then there was also that other question, the bigger about flowing between organizations and supporting them, which is a broader question, which we can go into if we want. So basically what I'm saying is that each one of these are very specific and separate. And so from here, we'd want to focus on one of them. We can talk about the whole thing overall if we want to. But then at some point we'd want to focus and go through each one. And the idea is like, what is the top priority for you? And then from there, understanding that it can take time to get through all of this because there's so much, right? Which is exciting. I mean, this is great.
I guess I would say top priority would be like having that pillar of stability into like basically like say if I'm an organization, right? And having that framework of sorry, I'm getting distracted. There's a lot of energy flowing through. So how do I basically create an organization, first of all, within like the current structures to support myself? And then how do I declare like that like I want to move from the fiat currency into a new currency? So everything that I am doing will like move into a regenerative economy versus into supporting the corruption and war and fossil fuels and plastic industry. How do I make that declaration to the world so that, and which will also support me in that?
Cool. So there is so many possibilities here. It's very exciting. So this is a pretty good question. I like it. So we took the big thing and we narrowed it down to just a big thing instead of a huge thing, right? But this is still a lot, which is exciting. So let's just jump in a little bit, and then we'll see if anyone wants to add anything. So give me just a 3 or 4 minutes. And Pressy and Hanal, if you're still here, it's good to help with the time and check in on the time for us. So there's two parts to stability and finances and cryptocurrencies and value tracking. One is just doing it for yourself as an individual and taking on client work, so you can, as a sole proprietor, just directly work and try to build a clientele model. And so that's one option, and just doing that immediately, whether you have a website, all that kind of stuff, and helping you just have clarity on that to bring in direct support, direct value to your work. The second is the organizational structure. So the organizational structure does a couple things. One is it creates either a jurisdictional, like if you do cryptocurrencies, or a legal foundation for you to offer value, right? So let's say you created an LLC or even a partnership. You can then take investors, you can take people who can actually give you value into your organization separate from the actual services that you offer for pay, right? Or for value, right?
So I don't get it. And I feel like there's so much distractions right now, so I can't really focus.
That's okay. We'll just take it one step at a time. So let's put aside the organizational part. That's one of the hardest parts to deal with, right? Because once you get started in it, it kind of like can take on a life of its own. It's kind of like having an organization is in essence like a child that is brought into the world, and then it has its own continuum in some ways separate than yourself, right? So let's put that aside for a second. So the organizational question we'll put aside, and go into the declaration part. Can we go in the declaration part for a second? Because that might be a little bit more personal. Does that make sense? Whereas the organizational side is really just, I like to take the concept of an organization being paperwork, right? It's just paperwork. What matters is your declaration, because the declaration is the legal side of it, which comes from you for what you're declaring, what you're bringing to the world, and what you are, gifting and providing. That's the essence of your value. And then the organizational side can always be changed, and it's always just like dealing with how to interact with other people in the whole world. I mean, it's just like not you, coming from you. So as far as the first thing, you talked about declaring that you want to move on from fiat currency and a new thing. So there's 2 or 3 things that you're declaring. One, so declarations, and I'm going to put out the term offers. So one is your services and the request for value coming in, right? So whether you're doing an organization or individual, you want value coming in, and so you're making offers of services, or you're declaring to the world or to groups what you're offering, what you want to do. For example, obviously you're doing your editing, video editing, etc. Right? So we could spend time just clarifying exactly what your offer is and making it clear, for example, how much it would cost for high-level premium video editing, and what would you want to get out of that, and what is your value of your time and your work, etc., etc. Because even just talking through that and getting clarity on your own value and how much you should charge or how much you should request, even if you have willing to take less, etc., is important, regardless of whether it's direct value, partnership value, equity, whether it's U.S. fiat money, etc., etc. Right? So then the second question you brought up was the idea of the regenerative economy. So one, you as an individual can declare that. You can put it on your website. You can be a socially structured service, being of light for good. So that's one aspect of just basically saying and working towards being of light.
It's 3:30.
And being a planet for regenerative economics. I love that term that you brought up, regenerative economics. You read it under economy. And then the second way is that you can actually legal and codify it. So if you wanted to take it a step further, there is a couple models that I've been working on. They're very, very preliminary, where you can actually codify into your organizational systems that you are a, for example, 0-degree business or a planetary regenerative business, which means that nobody can own or control anything of that business, even when you leave, to take it into the old economy or into the old systems of, for example, the hot economy, of fossil fuels and all that. So there's two ways to do that. One, you can do that with smart contracts, obviously, and crypto systems. The second is that you can do that through corporate models, and we are working on a couple.
What is a smart contract?
So that would basically be like a cyber organization is based on like a Ethereum contract of like creating, Ethereum Argon or different types of tokens, like sub tokens that you can create your own little mini organization on, right? And declare as a different value system, a different economic model, and having your own value. Does that make sense? Like you can create your own token, right? So a token,
okay.
The fundamental essence of a token is a smart contract.
And
right?
The funnel, can you repeat that?
So the foundation to the idea of a token, right, on a blockchain or a smart ledger or any other types of holographic modeling of value systems, it would be a smart contract as the base layer of that agreement, right?
And what is in a smart contract?
Code. Like, so you have to pay a coder. Just like if I wanted a video, I'm not a good video person, so I would want to pay you, Glow, to do work for me to help make a video when I'm not able to do it myself. And then a smart contract person, you would hire a coder to code a smart contract for you that would represent your value systems and your needs, right? So, that is this one model, right? The other model is actual human writing, which would be the simplest example is like a 501c3 nonprofit public charity. A 501c3 nonprofit public charity is required upon dissolution. So if you dissolve the organization, you get rid of it, right? Like for example, Eco Rainbow Goddess. Let's say you had $50,000 in value in equity and other things. You dissolve that organization. By law, all of that value must go to another 501c3 nonprofit organization that's a public charity, right? You can't take that value and put it into a for-profit because it would be illegal, right? So you can actually write into your foundational documents of an actual corporation or normal organization that says that any value left over in this, and anyone who would be taking ownership in this company, it must be transferred upon dissolution to another regenerative organization, to an organization that is completely supporting, even if it's a for-profit, that would be supporting the this 0-degree economy, that it would be supporting a life-giving force economy to the regenerative planetary alignment, right? So that you can actually write that into the legal model of your company, so that even if you sold out or you dissolved or whatever happened, if there was any assets left over, you could guarantee that under law that all of those assets would only be transferred to another organization. So for example, some B corporations actually write into their their bylaws, their for-profit, so or their really it's the articles of incorporation. It's the articles like higher than the bylaws. It's like the charter. That only another B corporation could buy them out, right? So that's an example, like that if they wanted to dissolve.
So if you receive a grant for Eco Rainbow Goddesses, and we receive 50,000, and then it like it dissolves into something else, like, oh, we're saying, oh, we don't want to do Eco Rainbow anymore, and we're like starting a new company. So we could technically like shift it into that other company, or you're just kind of giving it away to something else that isn't related.
Or let's say that you personally got sued for whatever reason, right? The court wouldn't be able to take nonprofit money and give it to someone for profit, right? It protects that those assets within the nonprofit are protected from personal lawsuit because they're not your assets, right? They're owned by the public charity. So in that same context, the idea would try to legally prevent some huge massive corporation that is a fossil fuel industry organization from doing a takeover or trying to control or in any way affect the assets of a regenerative 0 degree company, right? So it's in process and it's still not necessarily tried and true, but the essence is there of setting it up to at least create buffers and create systems that are declarations like you're talking about to declare your legal separation and sovereignty from the old economies and actually create either a business or a organization that is in the new economy, right? So these are in some ways this is paperwork, right? It's like the more important thing is just putting it on your website and having clear like what you're offering.
I have a question.
Yeah.
2 questions. I love the term 0 degree company, economy, business. You've said that a few times now. It's the first time I've heard it being said, so it's amazing. It's kind of like 0 point energy. So I love to hear the definition of that. And also, I have a question about. So I have this hero. His name is Rob Greenfield. He's been doing a lot of different activism stunts, and on his website, he has a declaration that he is not going to make more than $5,000 a year. And he basically gives everything else away to nonprofits or to, he gives everything else away. So I'm wondering how I can kind of declare something similar, not in the sense of 5,000, but like in the sense of like, oh, well, if I make $1 trillion this year, then, I have enough for myself for life, and then the rest would go to the world or whatever.
Yeah,
That's
again,
yeah.
That's just kind of like your personal declaration, and it would be part of your website and like your public image. You can work that into your if you created an organization or a business but that's a much higher level to actually put it into the bylaws and put it into like anyone getting paid within the organization has to meet certain criteria. But anyways, before I go on any further, I want to open it up to Dana or Hanel or Angie if you had any other ideas or input for any of the things that that Glow has talked about, because I know it's been a lot. Like Glow's gone over a lot of things. So Dana, Angie, Hanel, Pressy, did you guys want to add anything, or should we just keep going? If you guys have any ideas,
Let's keep going.
Yeah.
These are really big projects. Very huge projects.
Big time. Glow has got a lot of ideas.
Taking these on. Like what I'm gonna say is so like much smaller than, but I did want to mention that the conversation, especially just lately, has also taken on this initiative of creating a network of networks, like interconnecting all the networks of good and positive, uplifting initiatives and so on, so that they can all kind of be organized and have cross communication and cross interaction and so on. And they're Jamin, anyway, the one who's heading up the conversation, he's calling that the N2, meaning the network of networks, and he's very passionate about this at the moment. And I guess, like Jay, he's also a person that likes to organize things and likes to sort of create systems to be helpful in that way. And so it sounded, when you talked about creating this big network of, I'm not quite sure, but it sounded similar, your intent to connect networks. So maybe we should, like that's the thing, like there's all these different initiatives trying to do similar things, so we should unite and do them together rather than all do them separately.
Exactly. So I'm just waiting for you to come tell me that someone's already building it. Or if they've actually in that space of like they already have that infrastructure, then I'm gonna be like, I'm on board. Let me just connect all the networks together. Like, let me just be the networker. Like, I don't want to build all the systems. I just want to be like, where's the system? How do I get into the system? And like start like moving these pieces together. Because I'm ready.
Well, they're actually today they have a meeting all day called the Solution Club that is at the conversation that Jamin hosts. So that's going on right now. And then on Fridays, they always have a section of Friday, I think pretty much the whole time in the morning going, well, actually, maybe it's like 11 to 1 but now the schedule's slightly different, so it's sort of like the whole morning block until about 3 o'clock is focused on this network of networks and how the conversation can play a role in it. So it might be worth going to one of those, or
yeah, can you send me the information, the time of it? I'll just add it to my calendar.
Yeah, that would probably be on the Radish block party site, because Friday's the day that they have this thing called the block party, and that topic is part of what's being talked about.
Amazing. So, and the Solutions Club is happening now? Is that a regular thing, or is that just a meeting right now?
Yeah, every Tuesday is the Solution Club.
Oh, and cool. Amazing.
Every Friday is the block party.
Cool.
So, yeah, I think I can put in some links for that. And I know Jay's been trying to come to. I haven't always been there when you've been speaking with me, so I don't know exactly everything.
Yeah.
But,
things are definitely evolving with the conversation. I'm still have a lot of questions there, but the main things is just in relationship to me and Glow, it's like the decentralized distributed modeling of it. And like for me, I'm all about cooperative, collaborative models, and empowerment. And that's the part that is the most difficult in terms of like, I'm still not sure exactly what Jamin is doing so far in terms of like building the models of how do you organize the network and actually coordinate and make decisions, and that's the part that I still don't understand, but I love what he's doing. I want to help as much as I can if there's a space to help out, and definitely want to help. But I do have an interesting thing I want to share about networks and networking that I feel is really important, which is a conceptual framework. So one is that networks obviously are everything's part of something bigger, right? So every sub network can be part of a bigger network, and all the networks connect together and build webs, right? So you can have webs as something bigger than networks, right? So in the context of a single individual network, and typically I use the term that networks are networks of organizations, and then networks of networks build movements, right? So in the context of the terminology, a network is perceived, right? So an organization exists. Networks are perceived. So let's say you have 10 organizations. Each organization connects into the network from a different perspective and a different line in a site. So from different perspectives, the network may actually look very different. And not only would it look different, it could actually have different connotations and different conceptual frameworks. For example, just the naming of it. So there's a lot of time spent on naming a network. And my recommendation is that to get so involved in what a network is called sometimes is not applicable, simply because it can have multiple names. Like a network can literally have multiple names depending on the perspective that you're looking at it, because you might have a very different side. Some organizations in the network may not even know that other organizations even exist in the network because they're way on the other side of the network, right? So in that concept, I'm all about building multi-organizational entities and helping support networks. But I don't, in no way do I try to control or coordinate a network. It's like the networks that I build, I just link into other existing networks and help connect dots together. So hopefully that
is there
helps.
any way that sounds incredible? Is there any way that we can build a new bridge, like name something that's like more than a network? Because I'm just thinking
I
of
use
like
the term web.
how we say if we a web.
Yeah, web.
But
So
like,
a network
web
of networks
isn't, like,
eventually builds a web.
A web isn't really like a nonprofit or
Oh,
like,
well,
how do you even define a web, right? Like,
Yeah,
is it
so-
something that
so
we're
again-
making up now? Or like, how do we just say we have a new game, right? We have this app, and we're moving collective resources into everywhere so that everyone is abundant and everyone is free. What do you call that? What do you? It's not a network, but like it's like a knowing.
well,
but like
a
how do
knowing.
we quantify that or define that?
So for me, there's
3:45.
so this is just going into vocabulary and slight tangent, but you have organizations, right? And individuals oversee organizations. We deal with MOCs and MOs, so multi-organizational entities, multi-organizational collaboratives and complexes. So multi-organizational systems is extremely important to the work that I do, because I almost never create organizations. I create multi-organizational systems, right? And then you have networks of all of these different organizations and people, and then you can connect webs together. But once you get to the level of a network, it's not an organization anymore. Only an organization can be a nonprofit or a for-profit or an LLC or whatever. Once you're at the level of networks and building these broader contexts, it's not really about control or movements, networks, webs. It's so beyond our individual involvement in organizations and multi-organizational systems that it's almost, to try to focus on it is too much. Like, I don't think there's much to say about it. Like, what is a nonprofit network? It doesn't really, for me, it doesn't make sense, right? That networks aren't organizations. They're like, an organization is a nonprofit, right? So in the context of a community would be a bigger model, right? Where you can build communities and overlapping communities that are ground up and bottom up, ground swelling to support networks and movements. And so I think a community is also another. And we also talked about the community with Angie and the harmonizing humanity community that comes together in relationship to all the events. So there's you can co-create communities which involve organizations, people, projects, ideas. Like, there's so much to go into communities. Yeah. And that's just like a vocabulary term that I would use. So hopefully that helps a little bit. But yeah, let's talk about some next steps for you, and then we'll get back to you later on for sure. So Glow, did you have any next steps that you wanted to share? I know you're writing some things down as well, and then I have a few for you too, and I think just kind of summarize everything we've heard so far.
Yeah, like I guess just any like advice on next steps for the structure of the organizational structure.
Well, I'm gonna step back from there, right? Because I think that your next steps are prioritization, right? So this goes back to, like, for me, prioritization. I can obviously agree with what Dana said, which is that this is big, right? There's a lot going on, huge, lots of interconnections. So my primary methodology to dealing with big visions and big projects is not to just like a lot of people say you need to like cut it all down and just choose one and not do anything else. I don't do that. My model is more of like prioritize what is the number one top component, what is the second top component, get a whole priority list, score, rank them. And so here there's 10 components, and each of the 10 components need to happen, but they happen in a specific order. The order in which we do thing is extremely important in everything we do. Like, the order of what comes first, what comes second, what comes third can be all the difference between success and just getting everything combobulated and just a big huge mess and it falls apart, right? So prioritizing your goals, I feel like, is a really good step for you. From there, putting it in writing, whether you're writing it down on a notepad and taking a picture of it, or whether you use a computer in a document, just a couple paragraphs and links, and then that can be the beginning of a website. And then you can also be framing videos and things like that. But getting whatever you can in writing for whatever you prioritize highest is super helpful, because then from there we can start breaking it down and building it together. And then from there, in terms of the specific goal of stability, which I think is always a very, very high priority, so this and when I talk about writing, it's the kind of like your declaration slash your offer slash your mission, your I mean, obviously you have an amazing vision, so put it in writing. I wrote down a couple of things here, and you can go into the notes and copy and paste some things too. But just putting that in writing is really helpful, because then that's the beginning of everything else in terms of organizing. So until you have a clear vision, mission, you know, declaration, like to make an organization, it almost comes secondary. So my recommendation is actually to step back from the organization. The organization will come when you're ready, right? Because you'll have everything ready and you'll be confident about it, and then the organization just is paperwork, right? So you can start with the organization and create the organization, but it will go a lot smoother if you have the vision and the legal foundation. So then the organization just happens, right? And then the third part was your services, and most importantly, your value. Declaring your own value. How much am I valuing myself in relationship to the work that I'm doing, and to having stability to be able to pay costs and expenses, both either in crypto or other value systems, trade, barter. Any of that is important to have clear, because when you're negotiating with people in relationship to your own needs and your own basic life needs and your own resources, the more you have clarity in your own head about what your needs and what you're going to ask for, the more empowered you are to have confidence, and that is what makes the difference in terms of just making it clear. If you're like, oh, I don't know how much I want to get paid, and I'm not sure if I even want to get paid, and da 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 da, it's very hard to get agreement from the other party. Yeah, check. Yeah.
How would you navigate that? Like, do you have any advice on that?
Yeah, just like it could be anything from, you know, like there's three obvious categories. One is like, you know, money, and just like getting paid for, if you have bills, right? You might need money, right? So then the other categories are just like you know, value, and then trade and barter. So it's just like
I'm just more advice more on like for like in regards to like volunteer work and nonprofits, and like if it's like a challenge to like kind of figure out how much I'm worth, and also just like you said, having the confidence to figure out that and actually ask for what you need.
Exactly. Well, the confidence comes from having understanding and talking it through with people, right? So if the more you keep it in your head, the harder it is to understand it. But then you bounce it off me, you bounce it off Angie, you bounce it off Dana, other people, Hanel, Pressy, and you be like, okay, does this sound right? You know, if I ask for this amount of money, is this my real value? Does that make sense? And also you can think about it in terms of time. If you have, you know, 50, 60 hours a week, like maximum, to really contribute, because at that point you start affecting your health, you know, so you have to take care of yourself, you have to, you know, help other groups, and like you, so how much of your time can you volunteer? How much of your time do you put towards, so you can actually create a time budget. I do that all the time. Many times in my life I've created a time budget, and budgeting, you know, even if they don't stick to it, it's like, well, budgets you never stick to, right? But the idea is like, you know, let's put aside 10 hours a week that I'm working towards business activities that will either build, you know, client work and or work that is not necessarily volunteer, and then this time is set aside for volunteering, and then making sure that you're creating boundaries and being open to the world about your boundaries. That, you know, as long as I have this much of time for my work, then I'm happy to volunteer, and that's the boundary there, you know. So playing with time is a fun one, and then you can just like play with your, you know, put together a budget, you know, like just what is your personal budgetary needs, you know, now over the month, and then over the course of the year, etc. Right? So that can help get perspective. But anyway, so there are a couple of next steps for you that you can play around with, and then I'm happy to schedule, whether it's once a week or, you know, once a couple times a month, whatever we want to do to help create that space. But I feel like we're good for now, right?
Perfect.
So let's jump over to Dana, and then we can deep dive with Dana, and if she's not here, we can go to Angie. We are, obviously it always takes longer than we would ever imagine, which is why I try to make myself available, like, you know, as much as I can.
Yeah,
you know,
thank you for being patient, everyone.
Oh yeah, we're all here to help each other, so it's good. But anyways, let's jump into Dana. Here where Dana's at. Have a little time for Dana to kind of just share, and, you know, I know, Dana, you have a lot of projects that you're working on, and it's just beautiful. And you said that it was a little simpler, so let's just jump in and see where it goes.
Yeah, mine is a lot more specific, and I've never been to one of these sessions, so I'm really not familiar with what kind of support you offer. So I'll just bring up what I was gonna say.
Cool.
So I was just wanting some help in getting my work out there a little bit, and some specific things that I'm offering, and right now for Global Coherence Month, which is this month of August, I've been offering what I'm calling these coherence infusions at the conversation, which are meditations on a specific theme that I've been offering like every two times a week for this whole month. And they were meant to bring people together to help put out a global wave of coherence to the planet. And so I've been trying to spread the word on those. Those have been free, and everything that I've been doing over the last, practically since May or so, has been just volunteer and offering stuff free and helping out in these different initiatives and stuff. And then I decided for the end of this month to offer a workshop, like my first paid event in a long time that I've offered. And I would love support in getting that out there too, because sometimes you have to still in this economy do something that also brings in money. And I'm not charging huge amount. I like to try to make things accessible to people, but the idea was to offer a lot of these coherence based activities to get people interested in that, and then for anybody who wanted to go more in depth, they could come to the workshop, which is the last Sunday of the month. And the workshop is called Using the Energy of the Heart for Conscious Evolution. And it's meant to give people applications for heart coherence, how to different ways to apply heart coherence in their lives. And also, also to help, I put this in because I know a lot of people are healing practitioners, so to give healing practitioners some tips for using coherence-based tools in their healing practices. So I made a Facebook event for the workshop, and I could share that if you're interested. And so it's just sort of that's this month. That's what I'm sort of doing in the heart coherence world this month. And I have actually done a lot to try to spread the word about those coherence infusions. I went on Saturday Night Alive and talked about it a little bit, and I visited all these different groups and tried to put the word out, but none of it's really brought in that many more people. And I'm almost feeling okay, maybe I need a different approach, a more sort of magnetic approach, rather than all the sort of effort I've been trying to put into to let people know. And that's only a free offering as well. So that was mainly to get people involved in Global Coherence Month and building the wave that we're putting out. So anyway, so support on that. And I don't know, possibly if there's, I'd love to fill up this workshop that I just put out there. And
Can I ask a question about the workshop?
Yeah.
Have you posted it in different groups, larger Facebook groups yet?
Just started, because I just made the event last night, and then while I was in the 10 minutes waiting for this call, I put it in a few. I'm connected to many, so I often will do that. I've done that with other events that I've put out. So yeah, I'm gonna do that. And I also had because I reached 500 followers on my Heart Magic page, I got a credit to use to promote it on Facebook. So I just did that this morning as well to boost it.
I would say also you could make an event on the Heart Community page as well.
Heart Community page.
Our Heart Community, the Wisdom one, the one that we went live for the Unity Week. Sorry, I don't know if this is, it is relevant to what you're speaking about right now, but yeah, this would offer. Yeah, you can probably post it on our page there.
Okay. Are you able to send a link to that?
Yeah,
many pages I'm connected with, and
and I'll give you a list. I'll send you a couple other groups that I'm in that could be possible, a good space to be in. I know. I think you've been in the connection field, right? I'm not sure. Have you been
Yeah,
in the connection?
I have visited.
I would say that's a good space as well.
Yeah, I mean, I like what they're offering there. I don't know if I can go on and promote a workshop there though, because I'm not even one of the presenters. I mean,
I was just thinking maybe through Elizabeth or something, like, because we're already working with Elizabeth anyway, so it could be, she could definitely like mention it on the next call.
Right. Oh, you mean
which one?
Connection Field.
Connection Field.
When is your workshop?
The workshop's August 30th.
August 30th?
Sunday,
What day is that?
Sunday.
Sunday, August 30th. What time?
2 to 6 p.m. Pacific time.
So that would be 4 p.m. here. Okay.
And
how many people do you want in it?
It's 4 o'clock.
Well, today I said it would be nice to have 20,
So you're going to have more than 20 then?
Usually I have less, but it would be nice.
You're gonna have more than 20. We're gonna make it happen. Actually, isn't it during Burning Man? Maybe we can have her in the Burning Man.
Yeah, if she wants to pre-record something for that.
Yeah, pre-recorded. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is that during the same time? I think so.
August 31st to September 6th.
Okay.
The Burning Man.
Oh, okay.
Burning Man.
So the day before.
Yeah, the day before.
Yeah, that's perfect. Just kick off the Burning Man party with the Heart Coherence workshop.
Yeah.
Burning Man's happening online. I've never been to Burning Man, so I guess I could attend it online, huh?
Yeah, no, it's online. We're creating a world right now for it.
Oh, interesting. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Angie, if anything you're doing in, what is it, the Harmonizing Humanity?
Yeah, we're having a virtual world, and Eco Rainbow Goddesses is going to have like a online goddess temple. So you're welcome to create something for that, and then you're welcome. It's 6 days, so we have 6 days of content to generate. And then you can always direct people to a free gift, like if you're having an offering, a workshop, or something during the Burning Man event. You could always guide people during your talk towards like a free funnel page, like a free gift or free meditation or whatever that kind of like gets them into your list, so that then they can continue following you or plugging into your next workshop or your calendar or whatever.
I don't understand that, but see, at this point, I don't even have a website. I only have a Heart Magic Facebook page. And then the other thing I was gonna mention is, I'm not sure if I need this or not, but like, I wonder if I need something like a landing page for the workshop where people can register and pay on a landing page. Otherwise,
that sounds like a good idea.
So,
yeah, but I don't know how to do that.
Okay.
So that's another thing I was gonna bring up.
So
it's not absolutely necessary, but if somebody did have the ability to do that easily, that could be something I could use support on. Otherwise, I just have my PayPal information in my Facebook event, and I've always done it like that, But I'm pretty new to offering online events, so I've always done all my stuff in person. So only just started during the COVID period to offer a few online things, and this is the first sort of one of these particular workshops that I've offered on.
We have I have 2 suggestions. If you're doing a webinar, Rob has like a platform where you can post webinars for free. So like if you need the formatting structure, then that would be a good space to do. I can connect you with him. And then also we have a thing called Mighty Network, and it's basically you can kind of build your own platform for courses and stuff. So I want to start doing that, but maybe we could talk about that later, like a group of us for like a collective kind of academy, but it's already set up in a way that it's super streamlined, so it already has a formatting, so it's really easy to post anything. Put the name in here. Mighty.
I'm a little confused. Like I was just going to do the workshop on Zoom. Like easy.
But it just has like a formatting, so yes, through Zoom, but then it will have like kind of the funnel pages ready for you, so that people can sign up.
Oh, really? What is it called again?
I don't know what it's called, but like
Rob
Rob already has the access. He already bought it before, so like it's like unlimited. So we have like access to that, and he's super open, like New World.
Oh yes, let's use
yeah.
that resource.
So we can we definitely want to start doing workshops too. So maybe we can make a meeting. Like maybe we can do a workshop to create the workshops. Like create the workshop, a collab on webinars, so that we can start doing webinars ourselves and have the good structure formatting. So we have funnels, and then into if you want to do it through PayPal or whatever that may be, then that is one option. And then I would suggest that. And then also Mighty Network, Bloom just showed me this, and it's super incredible. It's like, let me just look at it. I don't remember how to describe it. I want to look it up again. It's like, okay, your online courses, community, and memberships are easy to access all in one place. I think this is it. Let me check to see if it is. Oh yeah, a new kind of website builder that grows with you.
Ooh.
So basically, you can build your own community, and you can put kind of like a website and courses and a membership site all in one space.
Looks great.
Here, I'll put the. So I think we should. I mean, I would definitely want to do a collective one together.
Cool. So I'm just to
Right.
step
I mean,
back.
for this month, it would just be like, because I'm already feeling pretty overwhelmed with everything that I'm involved in on a volunteer level. It would just be like easy, like just get more people involved, have an easy way for them to sign up. And even if I don't have the easy way for them to sign up, that's okay, because they have the PayPal, and just sort of like put it out there, and because it's only in like I don't know, 12 days or so.
It's really soon. So I feel like there's two.
Now I might do another one, maybe after Burning Man, after the September Days of Unity. Maybe I'll have more interest, and I'll do another one, and then have more structures set up.
So
and can I just finish a little bit, because I didn't sort of.
Well, no, I wanted to keep going with you, Dana. You're not done yet. Yeah, we're not done with you yet, but you can keep going right now. It's fine. Keep going.
Let's see, what else was I gonna say? Just on a practical level, in terms of, I guess this would be like more of a financial thing. Like I'm maybe wanting to get another used computer that allows me to do a little more powerful computer to do more like kind of multimedia meditations, presentations. Sometimes I'm feeling a little bit limited in some things that I can do online or offer, or the way they are presented with what I have at the moment. And I don't know if you do like help people with things that they need for their organization, but it wouldn't be a huge expense. I'd probably get like a used one, but just another little level of able to do certain things. So that's one item. I'm just by myself, by the way. Like it's just me. I don't have like people or anything. And then on that note, maybe not the second, because this time is more like an incubation period, but when I go into the next phase of life and will need to basically be earning some more money like normal again, I would love to connect more with I'm kind of tired of just doing stuff all by myself, and I'd rather connect with maybe a larger organization or like-minded initiative in which I could have a part and maybe some type of paying role, so that would allow me to boost my own ability to support myself in the world, and maybe still offer some of the things that I'm doing now, but it's not really sustaining when I'm living out there in the real world again, which I'm kind of not at the moment. So would love to have like more connections, collaborations, ideally things that would also bring in income for the future. I'm making lots of connections right now, which is amazing. But everything that I'm doing is on a volunteer basis at the moment. So, we'll eventually probably need to move out of that to just live in the regular world, as long as we do have a money system, which I'm not really in favor of, but that's what we got right now. Anyway.
Cool. So, let me just start at the bottom. So one thing that I want to make clear is that everything that I've heard, and this is just me, right, from Glow, obviously I've talked to Angie before, and you, Dana, The projects that everyone's working on are amazing. The visions are amazing. The work is amazing. I've been to some of your workshops, at least one or two, and your experience and the way that you conduct yourself and the professionality and just the information and the experience, unbelievable. It's amazing, right? The work that you do. So on as far as like just the surface level, we should be able to accomplish anything that we want to and go beyond that and build whatever the goal is, right? And it's always easier to build things together and collaboratively than trying to do it all by yourself, which is sort of the idea. As far as like our organization as budgets, like the life support program and the organization support system, it's all about us coming together and collaborating and supporting each other. There's no like direct budget, involved. As far as the organization, we provide funds for work, right? So if there can be a mutually beneficial agreement or whatever we can do, we can try to work something out. Overall, our budgets are super duper tight. We have a lot of different people working with us, and we still don't get the work done. And there's a lot of work to just, make systems function. We have 10 sets of taxes, for example. It's an unbelievable amount of work. In the context of raising funds, I think that we can raise funds both with your paid workshop and also with the different various goals. For example, just to throw out there, we are in a pandemic, and I am always willing to work with any of the entities that we have to actually make proposals to, get relief funds or whatever we could possibly do. We have gotten relief funds in the past, but we haven't done much of that in the near term. So that's also an option. But working together to get access to existing funds is something we could all get support on. You're always welcome to propose anything to the organization, and people can talk about it, and we can look at that, as far as, and then everyone would just vote, and whether or not, people would get funds, because the budget is technically public and all publicly accountable. But my most interest is in the workshops, right? So for you, Dana, the workshops amazing. Like the top priority from what I heard from Glow is very simple and very clear, because all of the collaboration, the bigger vision of the workshops, for a longer term, and building a website, building landing pages, building all that, we definitely want to do that, and you should do that. But let's look at that towards the future, right? So in the short term, it's like 3 to 5 additional Facebook pages. It sounds like you should be connecting in with 3 to 5 additional Facebook pages and or groups, right? Minimum. And you should work with exactly the groups that Glow just mentioned, and maybe even adding a few other ones, because that just sounds like, in connecting to the existing infrastructures that are with the whole Unity Week would be essential, right? So that's just like a done deal, right? So does that make sense, that part?
Well, the Unity Week, see, I was going to probably present at Unity Week, and then perhaps after that, if, then I could have another workshop for the people who got interested in that. But right now, this one that I was going to do on August 30th, if I have enough people, is for more of the buildup of Global Coherence Month, which I've been contributing to a lot with these coherence infusions and turning up at all the coherence events and stuff.
Yeah.
And that would be sort of like, okay, now Global Coherence Month is ending. Let's take this out into your lives and practice it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think what I heard from Glow is simply that, and also from you, it's just, we just want to help get numbers into your workshop, right? And then when you have the people there, whether they come from Unity Week or people that know people from Unity Week or from organizations that were involved in Unity Week, I mean, we're all here from Unity Week anyways, right? That's why we're all together.
Oh, you meant the one that's already happened. I thought you were meaning the event in September.
Yeah, the one that's a Peace Weekend.
Yeah. New flux of people.
Yeah, I call that Peace Weekend, right? So, but but the next question that I had, which you just alluded to, was your next workshop. Are you planning on another paid workshop? And in relationship to your free workshops, do you have like a series? Is every workshop slightly different that you could re-invite people, the same people coming, or is it more of like a one-time thing? Like, how do you structure your workshop? Like, is it a series, or is it really a one-time thing?
I'm just gonna put in a link to it, actually.
And then the other thing is having an invitation.
I kind of don't have a level 2 workshop right now. I pretty much, when I give this workshop, the one I just put a link into it, that's the one I've been giving as I've been traveling. I've given it a lot of different places, and that's the one that I have right now. I don't yet really have one that comes after that. I mean, I have presentations. Like I made a presentation during the harmonic convergence, and for the last one of the last sessions that you gave. So that's sort of like an overview presentation. That's not a workshop. I call that a presentation.
And what's that?
This
oh yeah,
one
that's
here,
the presentation. I got it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
the one that I did at the
Yeah.
whatever the session was that I gave it
Yeah,
at,
I remember. Mm-hmm.
and at the harmonic convergence, and recently again in the conversation, I gave it again to that's like a presentation, and the workshop is, I'm structuring it as a 4-hour experience that's a little more like using tools for different applications. So because this is an aspect of my work that I've been doing a really long time, and kind of myself moving into a whole new phase, I haven't felt a strong inspiration of like to make sort of like the next level of this particular offering. Like I'm kind of wanting to bring something new.
Can I give my 2 cents?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go ahead.
I experienced your presentation during, I think it was harmonic convergence or something, or maybe world unity. I forget, but it's really amazing. I feel like I was like, when I was watching it, I was like, oh my god, you need to like. I feel like you could do a lot, like have that, and like do so many more things on it, because you have so much knowledge and wisdom from like being with Heart Math for 12 years. They have that like really beautiful little like clip of like the heart resonance, and maybe I was thinking like to create courses. Like if you had courses, then you could have better like amazing graphics, like
So
with
kind.
like just kind of advance your presentation into like amazing graphics. And then I haven't been to your 4-hour thing, but I'm just thinking like if it's 4 hours, maybe you can do it like 1 hour a month. Or sorry, like 1 hour a week, and you could have like a 4-hour, like a monthly session, like a monthly program, or even 6 weeks. Because like, if people want to like have this heart coherence, then like we also need stability and consistency. So like, kind of, you could say like, okay, going from like 0, from like week 1 to like week 6, like where are you going to be in 6 weeks? Like you're going to have this heart frequency, you're going to be resonating so much higher, and you're going to be heart coherent after the 6 weeks are done, or whatever that may be, and then you'll already have this resonance, and it'll be something stable in your life versus like where your client would be like right now.
Okay,
Yes.
so making some kind of longer, or spreading the content out into a longer.
And then also like the consistency. So like building your tribe and community around you, because people are going to be like gravitating towards you because you're such a powerful, amazing creator, and you have this heart coherence. The internet's cutting out. I don't know what's happening now.
We can hear you.
The thing that I have offered as a series is what I call Heart Circle series, where we meet together and have a theme for each week, and then at the end do planetary work. And I started doing that online when the pandemic hit, and I had 2 of them. But I put so much effort into putting it out there through Facebook mainly, like including paid ads, and just got like a small group, and a lot of them people I already knew, and so it's been a little hard, that part, and it's not my favorite part. Like I don't see myself in the future as being primarily like somebody who's marketing and doing all this stuff. Like that's just not my role here. So I'm doing it kind
I feel like
right?
Like if you like, once that's all done, like we'll already have this marketing for like new world organizations, but like in the sense of like having like having to market that 6-week thing, like if we already have like an academy or like a thing that's like a space for like for a collective for people to do it, then you already will have it like, oh, here's my 6-week course, like connected to Into the Mythic, or connected to all these different things, so that they'll be like streamlined, so that like I feel like I just want to say like, don't worry about the marketing for now, but just like think about like what do you want to create, what do you want to like give out to the world, and then just like let it flow from there. So like I feel like, I mean, I know like just your resonance and everything that you're bringing is just like so magical and amazing. So I know that like it's gonna be there. But so just like kind of like get into the realm of like possibilities and like imagination. Like what can we expand from here?
Yeah, I agree with Glow in a lot of it. I mean, you don't want to get overwhelmed with trying to do too much, right? But there's 2 key things that I think are clear here. One is that you should definitely offer at least 1 additional workshop, and then at your workshop you like, I mean, if there's 5 people at your workshop or there's 10 people at your workshop and they all do it and then they don't want to come to the next one, that's fine. But if you have 20, 30 people, you offer the next workshop, and then it's like if people sign up, you give them like their 20% discount or whatever to sign up immediately. And then it's like boom, you're building clientele into your system, and you don't need to create a whole complicated series. Like I love the idea of taking the 4-hour workshop and breaking it into 2 2-hour workshops, or you could do 4 over a course of a month, right, or whatever you wanted. But you can make it really simple in that the different workshops could just have a different theme. So it's similar, they're similar to each other, but one might be, spiritual encompassment of, nature, and another one might be, the galactic forces, and another one might be water, right? Where it's like it's the same essence of the workshop, but that people get a different experiential flavor from the theme of the workshop, so that you can charge again and again, and that more people can get involved and really and use it more like a yoga class, where it's like it's meditation, it's grounding, there's a value in doing it over and over and over again, as opposed to just doing it once, and that can build in an ongoing clientele. So I definitely encourage you to at least have an additional one, and to consider doing a shorter one, because some people, the 4 hours would be hard to get started with. And then also you want to always offer to the next one. The second thing, so that's the first thing. The second thing is I feel like there is a collaborative interest here, and there's value in this, to basically, like, on an individual level you might not be too concerned about it, but on an organizational level, when you start partnering and you want to become part of a bigger organization, where actually maybe you would have equity and a portion of the budget coming to you, right? That having a shared organizational model for your business isn't necessarily a bad idea, not essential, but not a bad idea. And then through that, you could start thinking about an organizational budget, where that you basically would put aside a certain amount of money towards hiring an advertising agency, right? Hiring a communal, unified network that's helping build the people power to get 20, 30, 50 people in your workshops every week, right? So, because you don't want to work on that, I don't want to work on that, Glow does want to work on that, and she has the experience and the knowledge. And so the question is, what is the value of that? If Glow could help get 20 people in your workshops every week or two, or whatever the framework is, and they're paying X amount of money for that workshop, then boom, suddenly we have a budget. And then the question is, what portion of that would go to Glow to support the work of getting the advertising working and going for her? How much could the African Community Network put towards Glow to help support your workshop and all of our workshops and activities that are going on? So let's say you had 20 people and you charge $50 per person. And by the way, I want to make it very clear that if you, and again, this is just the paid workshop. I'm curious about the difference between paid and free workshop, but as far as the 4-hour workshop, if you do a 1-hour workshop 4 times, I would charge the same amount for the 1-hour workshop, right? That the essence of the value that you're getting from the experience of grounding is not about, in the connecting with your heart, it's not about the 4 hours, it's about the moment of consciousness, and that is where the value is. So whether you're charging, you're not going to charge 1/4 for a 1-hour workshop versus a 4-hour workshop. You might charge half or 3/4 or the entire amount for a 1-hour workshop versus a 4-hour workshop. So just throwing that out there. But let's say you charge $50 for 20 people, and you did it once a month. That's $1,000 a month. If you did it once a week, you'd have $4,000. So how much is the value of getting the 20 people there? It could be as much as 25%. It could be like, if you did it once a week, 20 people, it could be worth $1,000.
Meaning repeating the same thing in sequence, like once a week. I'd have as in having sort of what she was saying, maybe a 4-week program, and and then offering it regularly. Is that what you're saying?
Or with different flavors. And you could also just think of the once a month thing would be $1,000, and if you take a quarter, that'd be $250 would go to Glow or any sort of agency that's supporting getting the people there. And obviously, if the people didn't come there, the cut wouldn't be there, right? So it's just going into the idea that you don't want to focus on the advertising. I don't want to focus on the advertising. For me and you have no choice, if we want to get the people coming on a regular basis, to put in the budget a certain amount that goes back. Or you could even do a collaborative partnership where you're basically creating a promotional model where a certain percentage goes back into the advertising to support the people who are doing the work that me and you don't want to do. So anyways, these are
Yeah,
just
we can
ideas.
create an affiliate marketing program so that,
Yeah.
like, say if I bring 20 people to your workshop, then I would get a portion of the sales or whatever.
Exactly.
And then you promote other people's workshops or whatever, or if we have like longer term, like the courses and everything. And what I was just getting through was that, you know, if you're doing these workshops, it would be really beneficial for you to start just a community, and maybe we can do that collectively with the heart community or with another community, but having that tribe, that close network, so that. So what I've been seeing from my coach Miro, he's a conscious entrepreneur community. Every Monday we have a free mastermind call, but then so many people hire him to be their personal coach. So you can also like offer free things all the time, but then also be like, oh, here's my high ticket offer. It's like $33,000 a month, or $3,000 to work with me for three months, or whatever it may be. You know, their high ticket offers are usually around 10 grand. So it's just.
Yeah, I don't exactly have that put together either. But what was that person that you just mentioned?
Oh, I can add you to the community, and maybe you should come to the Monday call. It's called Conscious. Well, it used to be called Conscious Entrepreneur Community, but now they're naming it High Ticket Offers. I want them to change the name again, but but it's through Manifest X.
Cool. So it sounds similar.
There's a lot of those kind of things.
Yeah, it sounds similar to some of this. It's so. But yeah, that definitely sounds good. I love the idea of the affiliate program. So for example, Dana, you could say, you know, Glow, you could just create a PayPal button that would document funds coming in from a different source than your PayPal button. And then if Glow had that for her invitation, any funds coming, let's say she helped get, you know, 20 people coming in, she would get 20% cut or whatever. That would be an affiliate program model where you basically allow a certain cut of whatever the funds come in, and then Glow has an incentive to go out there and outreach for you, and your other workshop participants have an incentive, and it's super simple to do that and set up, and we can, you know, help you if you're interested in doing that, and you could do that immediately for your workshop coming out in just a week or two. From there, just a simple invitation on our side, like either an email invitation or like I saw the Facebook, so we could just, if it's okay to just use this Facebook and just copy and paste this and put it into an email and invite people, then we can just send it out to a couple people, obviously linking the Facebook link, and then that's that, you know? So if that sounds good to you, we would love to help you outreach on our side for the African Community Network and learn on our outreaching, but then also encouraging you to work with Glow to do an affiliate program as well, which will help both of you. Yeah, check. And then we're at time. So, Dana, does that sound good, or what do you think sounds the most interesting?
So, are you saying that you'll help share this link? I mean, because it's not much to share the Facebook link. Just say, here. Sure. Like I even wrote the introduction.
Yeah, if this is your invitation,
like are you able to do that?
Graphic?
Sure. There is a graphic on top.
Okay.
There's once you go to the Facebook event page, there's a graphic there.
Can you send everything to me in Messenger, and then like let's get in a call this week, and we can talk about media and courses and things.
Sure. Yeah, you can read first, I guess, the description of what I have there, and we can go from there.
Cool. So does that sound good, Dana? So the two. I mean, there was a bunch of.
And if there's any groups, I can immediately share it, and you know, I do a lot of that. Like that's pretty easy for me to just share it in groups. I do
Can you share it to me in Messenger, and then I can think of the groups that we can share it into?
Okay.
So that's a task for Glow. So Glow's gonna get links to Facebook groups, and you guys are gonna connect in Facebook Messenger. You guys are already in Facebook Messenger together, right? Yeah.
Who's
okay.
Rob?
That's he has the webinar platform. What is it called? I don't know.
Did I just send it to that message that you just sent me?
Sure. Yeah, if you want. Don't worry. Like either way.
So as far as the number one thing that on long term that we could commit to is we could commit to, you know, some type of communal schedule that then has an advertising budget that then would go out to as much as we can to Facebook, you know, Google, wherever we want, and then come back to a whole calendar of, you know, activities, even paid, and actually do collaborate that way to help outreach for many organizations and many groups, that's something that we would basically definitely be interested in. I don't know if that would be applicable to the short
That would
term.
be amazing.
That would be awesome.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I would love to figure out how we can like create an organization around this so that we can, like, I could get paid if I'm doing advertising, and like we could all do it together so we can all help each other.
I think it's so doable. I think it's definitely doable. And then as far as the short term with Dana, it just I think you giving us permission to use that Facebook event post to link and send it out and make little blurbs, and then we'll just do our best to send it out to a few people, including the some Unity folks and other folks online, and then you can connect with Glow about potentially doing something more with her on the affiliate.
Does anyone know? Sorry. Does anyone know if you could make a code like a not a type form, but like a landing page? I don't know how to do this yet, but just basically like if we like refer someone, then we'll get like 10% of the sale or whatever.
Yeah, there are definitely platforms that do exactly that.
Yeah.
Yes. But again,
maybe we can look into one, so we can start doing that. Then we can.
The landing page?
Yeah, the landing page, so that like if we give them a code, then they get 10% off of it, and then we get 10%.
Like an affiliate.
Yeah,
affiliate landing page.
Yeah, if you make an event, right?
Don't give them 10% because it's already discounted. But
we get 10% or something. We get like. Yeah.
For me, that's really, really important. What is the actual value of your workshop? Not the discounted value, not the after friends value. What do you feel is the real value of your workshop? Because I think it's important to say it.
I always have a very hard time with that because I come from another planet, and so much of that here seems completely arbitrary.
So arbitrary.
And so I just like ask my higher self sometimes to like give me guidance around price range, and it's like super hard. It just seems really arbitrary.
It is arbitrary. It's completely arbitrary, and it's so hard. It's so silly.
I honestly feel the value is probably higher than what I would be charging for it. But I've also noticed that lately, I don't know, like during this time that I've started to put some things online, like a lot of people are offering free things. And as soon as there's any kind of value, like money on an event, people like almost will go away from it because they're like, well, I think what they think is, there's so much being offered for free. I'm not going to do a paid event.
Yeah.
So maybe that's just some block I need to clear in myself. But I noticed that when I started putting my heart circles online, which were offered for very low, like very, very low. And just because they were offered for something, it was like people wanted it for free. So
okay, cool. Well, let's move on. We'll come back to that question. But sometimes offering it for the full price, people are more interested in paying the full price.
Those prices that you're putting there, I'm not charging that much. Like, for this particular workshop, I put a $45 as an early bird rate and $60 as a regular rate.
Cool.
And again, with the consciousness that it's the pandemic, and I wanted to make it accessible, and I'd rather have people than people not coming because it's too expensive. But ultimately, I think it really is worth more than that.
Yeah.
Probably a lot more than my experience.
My recommendation would be to do you can do the 4-hour workshop, but to do another workshop that's only an hour and charge the same amount. So I would just do it. But anyways, let's move on to Angie. I feel like we're at the time where we're going to give Angie a half an hour at least, and then does that sound good, Dana? But this is an excellent start, for you, Dana. So that's good.
Awesome. Thank you for all the advice, and we'll go from here.
Yes, the support. Yes. All right, Angie, let's go to you. Is Angie there?
Hello.
Yeah, Angie, what's up?
Great. That was some great conversations there. Can you guys hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Oh, great. Perfect. Beautiful. So, with me, I am basically looking right now to get this Rainbow Goddesses, non-for-profit organization, more established, and actually fulfilling its mission where we can empower women to live their wildest dreams. And in order to do that, we want to have some fundraising strategies in place so that we can have a team of women that are working together in a collaborative structure, creating workshops and content and media, right? So Glo's been working with me. We've been creating media. We've been doing different things. I would love to pay Glo, but right now the organization is not in a place where I can pay her a lot of money. I've been covering some of her living expenses to help her out. And I would love to have people on the salary, right, who are helping out with running the organization. And in order for the organization to produce the type of funding that it needs, I feel like I need to work on this plan in order to do that. So we've been working on a foundational document to get more clear, the collective foundational agreement, to get more clear on what the organization is. And right now we're also wanting to work on a crowdfunding campaign that helps us to raise funds for our team. And I basically want to get those structures as well as just accounting structures that will also help us to account for expenses. Like right now, I've been having expenses, living expenses for Glo, for myself, for like just keeping ourselves alive. And I feel like I'm not that great at keeping track of things. Like for me, it's really difficult. Like, I just spend money and it kind of just goes somewhere, and I'm not really good at tracking things. But I know that for an organization, it's really important to have really good like tracking and like accounting. So I would like to create the structures for an organization to run efficiently, and I feel like we don't have that right now. So I feel like it's like a little bit stuck because right now it's like we don't have these structures in place to actually run like organization should. So that's what I want to talk about.
Cool. So the first question is just confirmation. This is Eco Rainbow Goddesses Accounting. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And Eco Rainbow Goddesses.
There's like this whole party here, so it's like really hard to hear.
There's a lot going on. It's like, whoa, that's cool.
Yeah.
We can hear you.
There's a lot going on right now.
I think Dana asked what is it? What is going on?
Yeah, it's the New Earth Day.
Oh yeah, cool.
Of the New Earth Day.
Nice.
Okay, I think it might be a little more quiet here.
Cool. All right, so the first thing I'll start with, I'm just gonna deep dive into accounting and into finances because you did mention a couple other things, but that seems like your priority focus. So a couple things. One.
Yeah, I would say, what's your advice? What's the most important priority? I know there's this priority.
Yeah. So.
Chain of events that we need to focus on, and I want to get more prioritized.
Yeah, so we'll go over it, and just so you guys all know, the vocabulary that we use is support and recommendations, right? Advice is a legal term. We want to get away from advice. We don't do advice. We do support and recommendations.
Okay. Oh,
yeah. Yeah. So because it's up to you to decide yourself what you want to do, and every individual is empowered separately. So we're trying not to pressure. We give options and ideas, right? So in the context of the two most important things, one is the functionality of an organization. We are all here because we want to build transformative organizations. We want to build sustainable organizations. We want to build eco organizations. eco businesses. We want to build socially just and eco organizations, right? So the foundation to being successful in building any of those is to create a normal, everyday, just business, right?
I'm
Like,
so sorry, Jay. You just cut off that last sentence that you said. Can you just repeat that one sentence again?
for sure. Also, when you're not speaking, let's go ahead and have you mute. That'll help too. So Angie, can you hear me?
Oh, my audio is really bad.
Can you hear me, Angie? It sounds like so much fun. It's just like it makes me want to dance.
I know.
Yeah. So
okay.
anyways, Angie,
I'm
when
closer. The thing is that when I get away from where the party is, the internet goes.
Yeah, well,
out.
we can definitely hear you, but just when you aren't talking, just mute and we'll be fine.
Okay, yeah, I'm having a hard time. I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Yeah.
But okay, we'll
Cool.
see.
All
We'll
right.
see how we do here.
All right, sweet. All right, so the last sentence I was saying was just that the key to having any type of sustainable, socially just eco business is that it first and foremost needs to be a functional business. It needs to meet the basic business needs that any business would do, even if they weren't going to be sustainable. Because if your business isn't have the basic functioning of a business, it's impossible for it to be sustainable business because it'll fall apart, right? So
Right.
so that's the general essence of what you're going for here is making sure that your accounting and your finances are organized in a way that is functional. So the second part is in the vocabulary. So the vocabulary that we use is that accounting is the most important, and accounting is the present. Then you have budgeting, and budgeting is the future. And then we use the term finances, or you could talk about taxes as the past. So when we talk about accounting, we're specifically talking about the present accounting of the current state of the organization. And then budgeting is the future. And then the finances are the past of all the money that was spent already, right? So we use those terms because accounting is the umbrella of everything. Accounting is the most important because the present connects the past and the future. But we want to acknowledge that we always want to be future thinking into the budgeting of what's going to happen eventually, and then also thinking about and organizing and having transparency on the finances of the past. So that's helpful in understanding what I talk about in terms of just the basic vocabulary. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that you're applying all of those, right? So one of the terms we use is like, we could talk about umbrella accounting and finances, or all of that. So in the context of the primary goals here, you talked about tracking. So tracking is one component of finances and primarily the past. So I'm assuming you just have like one bank account, right? And a PayPal bank account.
I have one bank account, right?
And a PayPal.
Mm-hmm.
And a PayPal or anything, or just the bank account?
A PayPal.
A PayPal. Mm-hmm. Cool. So bank and PayPal, right? So in terms of the actually the work, it should be pretty simple, right? To do the accounting and the finances, and you have a separate, you've already separated it from your personal finances, so that's super important. So as far as your biggest concern, what is your biggest concern in terms of like being efficient or effective, or something that you might be stuck on? Because I mean, the bottom line is that you want to have a budget. You want your budget to represent more or less what you're actually spending, and then you can have your fundraising budget, right? Your fundraising budget represents what you want to bring in, the money you want to bring in, but then you have an actual budget for what you're actually spending to help organize it and understanding it. And sometimes the budget is enough to organize what the money was spent on. Because if you're doing the same bills month in, month out, you don't really need to do a lot of tracking on your past bills because it's the same thing all the time, right? So as long as there's access to the ledger and or the bank statements, then you have transparency. So let me know a little more about what's getting you stuck, what types of systems you're looking in terms of efficiency, and if you can focus a little bit more on the current accounting. It seems like your accounting is fine because you just have 2 accounts. That should be super simple, and or the finances or the budgeting. We can focus on one part at a time.
Sure. Give me 1 second. Okay, so I guess I'll give you a little bit of a wrap things up in a nutshell. So basically, I left the States with the COVID happened. I kind of got stuck here in a good way. It's been great. Basically, I let a lot of my my finances go because I was basically paying for my personal DBA doing business as independent entity. I was basically, making money as an individual, body work therapist, coach, nutritional type of guide, doing permaculture consulting, things like that. As an individual sole proprietor, right? And I had really good credit with my permaculture yogi business. But with me getting kind of stuck here in Costa Rica and all of that, and me not having the clientele and the cash flow that I had in the States. Sorry, there's a kitty here that's being a really bad kitty. Not having the cash flow as an individual DBA here, I let my credit cards go because I just couldn't pay for them. So basically, what I did is I got a loan for a non-for-profit. We having this non-for-profit, right? So I got this loan for a non-for-profit, and right now I feel like I've just been spending money. I've been spending money on taxi, on food, on living, right? Which kind of we need to live, and
Okay.
I feel like in order for a non-for-profit to fund a team for the non-for-profit, then the team needs to be producing the type of value that the non-for-profit needs to generate the amount of money that it needs to continue on its mission, and to also generate the funds that it needs to do the outreach that it needs to do. But right now, it's kind of it's not organized at all. So
Cool.
so it's
Alright.
just expenses,
Okay.
and there's no funds.
So what I'm hearing from you is budget, right? So it's all about budgeting, because budgeting is where everything comes together in terms of planning and organizing. You want to have ideally you want your budgeting, your fundraising, and all your finances to match the mission of your organization, right? So the mission and your work should all be combined with the finances, and it's very hard to do, but it's the ideal. What some of the most professional, high-level fundraisers for organizations, it's if you're fundraising for something and it doesn't match the mission of your organization, then it's not the right fundraiser, right? That the fundraising and the money and bringing the money and the mission should all be one and the same, right? So that is really budgeting. So there are a couple things coming here. One is that there's a bigger picture going on. There's multiple organizations you're talking about. Your sole prop, and you have your nonprofit. You also mentioned that and you use the term not for profit. So I use the term public charity for a 501c3 that has public charity status, or public that charity has a plan of having public charity status, right? So if you got did you get a loan with Eco Goddesses, Eco Rainbow Goddesses? Okay, so
Eco Rainbow Goddesses.
Yeah. So the first thing, let's just throw it out there. Typically, nonprofits, regardless of whether they're a business entity or a public charity, my recommendation is just not to have loans for nonprofits, because it creates because a loan is by definition is a for-profit endeavor, right? So when you take a loan, it's related to profit systems, because you're paying interest on the loan and all these other aspects that can sometimes get overwhelming. But whether you're talking about a credit card or a loan or whatever.
No, it was the CARES Act for the COVID.
Oh, well, are you sure it's a loan, or do you think it might be forgiven? It could be forgiven then, right?
I hope so, because I remember I read the agreements, and it said that it was a loan.
Cool. All right. So
but it was by the CARES Act. So
Right,
maybe
so
I should
there's-
find the documentation.
yeah, so there's a task. So tasks and work next step. So one thing you're going to want to do is we're going to want to review and understand the loan, and this is what's called a liability, right? So all organizations have liabilities. Liabilities can be workers that need to get paid. It can be loans or things that you need to pay back. It could be bills that are coming up in the future. Those are all liabilities that you want to be tracking. So you want to put that in your budget as well. Like, so your budgeting should include both your liabilities and your income to match and balance so that you know your actual cash flow, right? The actual amount of money that you have. You have to take account all your liabilities, right? So that's one thing, viewing and understanding the loan as a liability, as a potential liability, right? And understanding how it affects your bottom line, right? So that's done. And then we can go over that in the future. You can send it to me too. It's easy to look at. So in the context of the budgeting, there's two parts to budgeting, right? So part one is the overall like annual big picture budget, right? Actually, I'm going to do 3 budgets, okay? So let's just get the first, because most people, when they think about budgeting, they think about a fundraising budget. So fundraising budget is basically like, think about your fundraising budget like this is like, you only use for grants, you use for donors, right? Does that make sense? The fundraising budget?
Right.
Yeah, so but the fundraising budget is not a realistic budget. It's the money that you wish you had, but you haven't brought it in yet. So you never want to base your actual budget on your fundraising budget because that's not real money. It's not a real budget. Does that make sense?
Fundraising is the money that you wish you had.
Exactly. So the overall annual budget, it might be like a half-year budget, right? It depends on your current situation. It could even be a 3-month budget. But the point that I'm trying to make is that your overall budget takes the total of money you have and you divide it by your stability. And this creates your stability.
By your what?
By how much stability you want, right? How many months of stability you want. Ideally, it would be 12. So let's say you had $10,000 in the bank. You would divide that by 12 months, and that would equal a 1-year budget, which let's say use $12,000. So if you had $12,000 in the bank, you divide that by 12, and that would equal your 1-year budget, which would be $1,000 per month. Does that make sense?
Right.
So let's say you were like, okay, I need to spend more than $1,000 a month. There's no way I can create a $1,000 per month budget. That is unrealistic. So then you'd look, okay, well, if you have $12,000, let's think about a 6-month budget, right, as a half-year budget, and then that would give you $2,000 per month. Does that make sense? Right, so then the important number is the number of months that you have stability as an organization. Are you following me here?
Yep.
So it's all about stability. So one of the most important things that businesses do in terms of any functional stable business is that they have what's called like a business time frame, right, of stability. So most businesses are thinking 1 year, even 5 years into the future with all of their finances, with like big businesses. Most small businesses are 6 to 12 months, right? Most small businesses do not have more than 6 months, right, of time frame of terms of stable budgets, right? So then the other component is that some new organizations or organizations that don't really know what they're doing may have 3 months, 2-3 months. But basically, if you're getting under 2 to 3 months, it's like not good. You want to just cut your spending until you get at least a 2 to 3 month stable budget, if not more.
Right. So, yeah, I can't have all these expenses until I have like stability in the cash flow.
Well, no, but the expenses are fine. The question is just what are the expenses, and you want to start. It's kind of like, think about it like this: you're arbitrarily building a baseline budget, and your arbitration is how many months of stability do you want, right? So if let's say we want 12 months of stability would be your ideal. Actually, let's go somewhere in between. Let's do what's between 6 of it would be 9 months. So let's do something in 9 months. So let's say you had $12,000 and you want to do
It's really hard to hear you. I'm so sorry. I think the sound is
Can you speak a little bit louder?
It's I don't know if it's your microphone or if it's the internet. Maybe we should call him again.
I can try to do a separate microphone or whatever. I can try getting on a different call line as well if you want. I can try my phone.
It might be the connection.
Let me try my phone real quick.
So you're saying 9 months.
Well, can you guys hear me, or do you want me to go into another sound place? I was gonna try to do a different sound.
I guess as long as yeah, I guess if we are writing it, we could read it too. Let's see where you're going at with this.
It's in the notes. Yeah, I'm kind of putting the notes together
Yeah.
there. So
Okay.
I'm gonna just jump here onto the phone and see if it helps at all. So I'm gonna mute the computer and jump on the phone. All right. So are you able to hear me?
I can
Better?
hear you better.
Okay, cool. All right.
Yes.
So let's use the phone for the sound, and then
Good.
excellent. All right. So where were we? So let's use the middle ground of the 9 months, which creates a 9-month budget. And if we just take $12,000 and we divide it by 9, that equals $1,300 per month. Okay. So let's say, and again, it's all about consciousness. It's all about understanding your cash flow. Right. So let's say you decide to do a 9-month budget. You have $1,300 per month, right? But you know in your bank account you have $12,000 per month, right? So let's say you budget your next month's budget for $2,000 for the month. That means you would be $700 in the red. Does that make sense? I'm gonna say it again.
Okay.
So
I'm sorry. Yes, say it again.
so your goal is to have 9 months of stability, right? So it doesn't really matter what your goal is. You could have 3 months of stability, you could have 6 months of stability, you could have 9 months of stability. You want to choose a number that's realistic and that makes sense with your budget and your needs, right? So, but then we're just gonna use the example of 9 months, which is a lot of time for a brand new organization that's not particularly stable. Like 9 months is a lot of time. Typically, a lot of businesses are only 6 months, right? Which is why the pandemic is so devastating to the economy, is that it's just wiping out small businesses. So in the context of a 9-month plan, right, we take $12,000, you divide it by 9 months, you get $1,300 per month. Do you understand?
Okay.
So, but then let's say the first month that you budget, you spend $2,000, right? Your goal is to spend $1,300, but the first month you spend $2,000, so therefore you're $700 in the red.
Right, if you're spending more than what you're making.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
makes sense.
So in terms of spending more than you're making is normal, but the idea is it gives you a gauge of the total amount of money you're spending in relationship to your goal in terms of stability, so that you can gauge whether you're in the red or whether your budget's in the green. And this is a really, really important characteristic to a functional organization, of just being able to take your total budget, divide it by the amount of stability that you want, and then to know whether or not you're overspending or you're underspending. Right? And that, because without that knowledge, you don't even know what you're doing. You have no idea whether you're overspending or underspending, or whether you need to save money, whether you need to cut your staff or whatever. You just have no idea. So if you understand this principle, and again, it's a mental principle of just getting a baseline to know whether or not you're in the red or in the green, and then from there you can start taking actions to help you get more stable. Does that make sense? Because then over time you can get,
what needs to happen.
yeah, because then over time you can get yourself more in the green.
Are there grants usually in large amounts, or is it more like small amounts, or is it more milestone based? Grant readiness, is this what he said? Okay.
So grant writing is a whole nother question, and grant writing is it's all about building relationships, right? So it's kind of like an investor. Thinking about an investor, you want to build a relationship with the investor. You want them to trust where they're putting their money, and it's the same thing, except instead of an investor being an individual, they're an organization, and it's typically like a foundation or organization that does grants. Does that sort of make sense? So based on their policies of that particular foundation, they will have different requirements in terms of whether you meet their criteria for funding. And then if you meet the criteria, whether they're going to fund you for larger, smaller, medium amounts, they basically already have set out based on your type of organization and your budget, right? So that'll all be determined by the foundation in terms of how much money that they provide. Typically, most foundations want multiple sources of grant funding, and so to get started, you get some smaller amounts, and then as you grow, you can get into bigger amounts. But either way, grant funding and grant writing is a very complicated, and it's like tiptoeing is key because you're building relationships and you want to follow all their games, and then you kind of try to just like get access to the funds. So it's sort of like a game. Yeah, we can go over that another time.
We would want to be grant ready with
Exactly.
that checklist
Yeah.
that you sent me.
Yeah, and I already sent you the checklist for the grant readiness, and so I really like that particular checklist because it's complicated. Because it gives more of it. Like I've seen checklists that are like, here are the 10 things you need to do for grant ready. It's like, okay, that's great and all to do those 10 things, but realistically, you still may not be grant ready, and the agencies are still not going to give you any money. So if you have a comprehensive grant checklist, you have a much more likelihood of getting funds when you meet the full vision of being grant ready. Yeah.
So for now, we wouldn't generate fundraising activities that can help us to raise our own funds.
Well, no, you can do both, but the key is to just prioritize your time for the needs of the mission of the organization, and then matching your fundraising around that should provide you the direction that you need, right? So if that brings you to grants, then you do the grants. If it brings you to activities, events, sponsors, whatever is in alignment with your mission and your vision, should be the avenue of where the easiest access to the funding should come in. And I can explain that more later, but that's around fundraising. So we'll talk about that in a second, but just making sure we're finishing with this budgeting thing. Because if you don't have a foundational budget, it's very difficult to talk about whether you're spending too much money or not. So the next step after you know how much in the red, or if you're in the green, or if you have a balanced budget or not, the next step is basically thinking about the month to month. So we do a monthly budget, and our budgets we do every single month for the new moon. So tonight we're gonna start our new budget because it's the new moon. So our new budget starts at 9 p.m. Pacific time, right?
That's what I need. I need a system that goes by these like cycles.
Well, if you want to join our budget system, you're welcome to join all our budget systems. We have public accounting and government compliance meetings. And we do all of our budgeting and financing systems all based on the lunar cycles, and you're perfectly willing and welcome to just copy everything that we do. You're totally welcome to do it. It's work, but it's all transparent, it's all public, it's all open, and we do our meetings at the lunar nodes. So I can give you, it's actually all on the website already. It's on the inbetween.unity. And it says all of our government and taxes meetings. So
okay, yes, I would love that.
So this is inbetween.unity.fund, and we do our accounting and government compliance AGC team is lunar node. So you can see that on the inbetween.unity.fund Google Calendar and schedule, and you're welcome to attend those. Those are open to the public, and we can, we're not going to spend time like this where we're going to focus on your budgets, but you can present your budgets, we can vote on them, improve upon them, just like as if you were part of the organization, and we'd just be voting on additional organizational budgets, okay? But in the terms of going into the details and helping you set up your budgets, all that, this would be the space for that. So the next most important thing that a lot of people get wrong, and this is where everything falls apart, is that let's say you create a 9-month budget. All right? You create a 9-month budget, and after the first month you spend $2,000, how much do you have for the second month?
You have a 9-month budget of $12,000, and then you spend $3,000.
Well, the first month you spend $2,000. How much money do you have for the second month? Right, so I can answer the question.
I'm really bad at math. I'm like the most terrible person in math
Cool,
ever.
cool. But once you understand this, it'll be really simple. And this is magic. This is magic as far as Thanks, Hanel. We're at 20 minutes. So this is magic as far as stability goes and organizational budgets. So you start with $12,000. You divide that by 9 months. You end up with $1,300 a month. But in the first month, you spend $2,000 and you're $700 in the red, right? So then you spent $2,000. You originally had $12,000. So how much money do you have now? You have $10,000 because it's the $12,000 minus the $2,000 that you spent. So you end up with $10,000. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah.
So a normal unstable business would then take their $10,000 and then they would divide it by 8 months. That is wrong. If your goal is 9 months of stability, for the second month you would take your $10,000 and you divide it by 9 months again, and then you take $10,000 and you divide by 9 and you get $1,100. $111. Okay? A month. So basically what that means is the first month you had a budget of $1,300. The second month you now have a budget of $1,100. All right? So this is really important. So in your mind and when you're organizing all of your budgets, right? You got to think about it like, if I'm not bringing in income, if I'm not getting donors, if we're not getting grants, every single month that goes by, our budget is going down by about $200 per month, right? So we need to be cutting to stay stable. We need to cut $200 per month every single month to stay stable, right? And then what does that, and this is the magic, what happens is that then at that point, you are stabilizing yourself, because if you're constantly reducing your budget, you will always have a 9-month stability time frame, even as you go month to month to month. Does that make sense?
Right.
And typically we do quarterly budgeting on this bigger scale. So like usually what we would say is that we would have a $1,300 month budget for 3 months, and then it would go down to like $1,000 a month for the next 3 months, and then it would go to $800 a month for the 3 months after that, right? So we keep it stable for our budget is stabilized for every 3 months, and we can show you how to do that. It's pretty simple, but the key and all you need to understand, because the math doesn't matter, the actual calculations, none of that matters. What matters is that if you want to create a stable organization, you just need to consciously understand that every month you have less and less money if you're not bringing in income. Okay? That's all it really takes. So as you understand that, then you can start building stability based on how much in the red or in the green you're in, right? Because it doesn't matter how much money you have. What matters is how much money you're spending, right? Because you can make a $1,000 budget can be stable for 6 months if you spend $50 a month, right? So it's all about how much money you're spending is the key. And then from there, you can bring your income and your projected income into your budget. So let's say you have $12,000 in the bank, but you're projected to bring in an additional $6,000. Then you can create a budget that's $18,000, right? So you can start using projections of the expected money to budget over the course of the 9 months to have a more realistic time frame of value. So if you have expectations or money that you're expecting to come in, there's a term for that. It's who cares what the term is? The point is that it's money that you're expecting to come in, and you can budget that money as well, right? So if you have money that you're expecting to come in, but if you have no money expected to come in, then you want to really be solid on, your budget until you have money coming in again,
Right.
So
you want to spend less.
Yeah. So from there, your task is very simple. You just want to make a list of all of your expenses, right? So task can work, list of actual existing expenses. Then you would take your accounting. You would take your total amount of money from your accounting, all your PayPal and all your bank accounts. You can combine and build a MO where you're working with other organizational money too. And then you just divide and work out your budget. Divide by your accounting of your actual money that you currently have, actual money you have. You could talk about your potential income of what you're expecting to come in during the X number of months, and then you divide and build a monthly budget. So if you want to do monthly, you can do quarterly budgeting if you want, and we can help you with that. It's pretty simple. And then once you do that once, the next month's budget and the budget after that is pretty much the same. So you really only have to do this work once, until you have a major change in your organizational finances, right?
Right.
Because month to month, your budget basically stays the same.
I'm coming. I'm coming with you guys. What do you mean? I don't know where I'm going, so I'm just wondering. Oh yeah, I'm good. Okay, it sounds great, Jay. I'm sorry. This event just finished up, and we have to be moving soon.
Cool.
So
Yeah, we did good.
I want to keep on this conversation, and let's definitely follow it up.
Yeah, and getting into specifics helps a lot. So once you have a list of expenses and bills and your HR budget, how much you want to pay yourself, etc., then you can start going into, okay, how can we actually improve your budget and get more balanced, stable budget, which will help you. You know, so that's your end goal. But these are your tasks. These are your short-term tasks. You want to review and understand your loan. You want to have a list of your existing expenses. You want to do an accounting of all the money you currently have. And then you want to have your potential income over the next X number of months. You want to choose how much stability you want. Do you want 3 months of stability, 6 months of stability, 9 months of stability? And then you're going to divide by the months that you want, and then you can start diving into the budget, looking at the expenses, and then we can help you with actually changing your budget to be more successful. All right. So it shouldn't be more than like 1 to 2 hours of work. I mean, it shouldn't be a lot of work for you to do. Maybe 3 hours maximum. And there's really very little, we don't do any budgeting that's not just simple division or adding or subtraction, and then that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Sweet. All right. Good work. It was a pleasure, Angie. It was a pleasure, Glow. You guys are welcome to check out if you want to check out or anything. Otherwise, we are good. We are done.
Sounds great. Okay, sounds good. So I'll definitely be checking you in between Unity Fun and the lunar notes, right?
Yeah, the lunar nodes is where we do all of our budgeting, and you're definitely welcome to just join us in all of our finances, budgeting, accounting.
So I would just email you and like I did for this call.
Yeah, you can just email me and I'll tell you when it is. Again, we do sessions at all times of day and night, so sometimes those sessions happen in the middle of the night. Right, and then and then as far as our organizational support, our organizational support sessions happen like, you know, we can do once every 2 weeks at new and full moons. We could add one in between, do a Gregorian calendar once every 2 weeks, so that there's one per week. So I'm happy to do a session for organizational support and life support once a week, as needed. You know.
Thank you so much, Jay. You are the best.
Well, we're all the best together. We're actually together. We're even more the best than we are individually. So. You know, there are a lot of exciting things came out of today. I saw a lot of potential harmonies, a lot of potential, you know, plans and ideas for, you know, dealing with at least, you know, a couple $1,000s a month, if not $3,000 to $5,000 a month between all of us. So anyways, we could see where it all could come together. It's hard work though, you know, but once the hardest part is getting started, but then once you get started, continuing it, especially if you have good budgetary practices, is a little easier. But it's so easy to lose your budget and then everything falls apart, and then next thing you know, you're like, oh my god, I only have 3 months left, and then boom, next thing you know, the money's all gone, and then it's like you have to start firing everybody, and then, you know, I've seen it happen over and over and over again, you know, so you got to stay on top of your budget.
How do you start, like my question, we don't have to answer this now, it's like, how do you start from zero? Starting a new thing. I think we don't have time for that. I know, I'm not gonna leave that now, but I'm just saying, putting that into the universe, We'll come back.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
All right, cool. Talk to you later. Bye. Good work.
Bye.
Dana, did you want to check out?
Thank you, Jay. We'll talk soon, okay?
Yeah, blessings, love. Dana, did you have anything you wanted to?
Oh, by the way, Jay, I want to send you this link for our Harmonizing Humanity list. Everybody who's on our list, we're gonna include them into our seeds contributors list. So I would love to get you in that.
Perfect. Yeah, just
for all your support.
Just put it in the chat window, or you can email me, or we can just do it next time. Whatever's fine. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds good. I'll email you with that.
Perfect. All right. Take care.
Thanks.
Enjoy.
We'll talk soon. Bye, Dana.
Bye.
Bye.
So Dana, did you want to check out, or did you have anything to add, or?
Yeah, I was. I guess I'm ready to leave too. Mm-hmm. Unless there's anything else you wanted to bring up.
I mean, the only thing I could think of is that we could just draft a little invitation together, and then I'd send out the email to the Unity group. I could put it on, you know, my Facebook, and then we could do that for fun, just to do it, you know, because for me, I like doing the work in the present. When better to do it, you know. Other than that, I'm fine checking out, and I can do it on my own.
I have maybe 15 minutes, but because I have something I was gonna do at 4:30.
Yeah. I'm confident and able with the information you already gave me. I can easily draft a little blurb and link the event. So I'm happy just doing it on my own. It's fine.
You know, the only thing you could add there, like in the chat, I put special interactive online workshop offered for Global Coherence Month. You could put by former HeartMath Institute research scientist Dana Tomasino, because when I put it out, I don't usually say that in the thing, but if you're putting it out to people who don't know me, you could say, here, I'll copy that in again, and then I'll just put it.
Oh no, I have it here. I'm putting it at the bottom of the notes. So it says, here's a link to the workshop and brief description. So it's special interactive online workshop offered for Global Coherence Month. Learn how to put your heart conscious into practice. Also includes applications for healing practitioners. Early bird discount for registration by August 24th. So what were you going to add again?
In the first sentence, special interactive online workshop offered for Global Coherence Month by former HeartMath Institute research scientist Dana Tomasino.
Cool. Boom. I think I got it.
But then it says who I am or my background, that I have a background with HeartMath. So I think that's very good.
Perfect. I love it. Very good.
And you're going to send that out to people?
Yeah, I would be committed to send it out on the let's see. So there is the Unity group, email group, which has like, you know, you can send it out yourself, but I'll just send it for you. But that one has like, you know, 50, 60 people on it. And then we also can send it out. I'm happy to send it out on my personal Facebook, which has a few thousand people that might see or might not. And then I also, I'm not sure if it would be appropriate for some of the other groups that I oversee on Facebook, but you know, that is at least the beginning, you know. But there might be one or two other groups I could think of that I could post it, you know, that might have like a couple hundred or 1,000 people on it. Yeah.
That's great. If you're willing to share it on Facebook, either on your own page or in these groups, that would be great.
I'm definitely committed to do that for sure. But Glow is definitely, I'm just like you. I'm not the best with the marketing stuff, so we both should be working with Glow. She is a magnet for just like making things work. It's really exciting that she's interested in helping you. So definitely connect with her, give her the blurbs, you know, and then also, you know, you could also even work something out where like she can charge $60 and then she gets the difference between the 50, the 45 and the 60. So she gets the discount, you know? So you could do something like that where you can provide an incentive for her to do work. And it's, you know, it's part of its practice for her, because I think she's definitely has the ability to put together a very strong woman powered media company that could be very successful for doing, you know, outreach advertising. I mean, she's just a whiz on all of it. So and most people are not like me and you. So yeah.
See, I'm actually not bad at it. Like I make lots of connections and I'm good at putting stuff out, but not a lot comes back for the amount of effort that I put into it. And and also I just don't think that that's what I'm sort of meant.
Yes.
It's not really meant to be what I'm doing here on the planet.
So for me, it's more of the second one, you know. So I'm not particularly great at the social media, but more importantly, I can do it. I just don't like it. I don't want to spend all my time doing social media, you know.
And ultimately, I'm not sure that, you know, I'm gonna be like just a person who's offering workshops online either. I think there's more that or different stuff that I'm moving into, but. You know, this is sort of, I'm familiar with this at the moment, and as I move into whatever this next phase is going to bring, I'm continuing to do some of the things that I know and I'm familiar with.
Well, that's something I want to write down here, you know, for you. So, you know, for your long-term vision, that workshops may not be your focus, right? So that's very, very important to note there. So basically, you're doing the workshop to meet a short-term goal, which is fine, and then we want to maximize the utility of the workshop for your short-term purpose to help support you and fund you towards your bigger vision and learn more about your bigger vision and help support that, which I think you implied in your goal of working with a larger organization where more people are working together, where you would be budgeted within that organization. I think I heard a little of that. So
well, that could be like sort of a next transitional step. My ultimate vision is eventually meeting my soulmate. Our work comes together in a synergy that I can't even quite imagine right now, and create something new that we offer to the planet. We'll probably have some kind of consciousness center. We'll be financially free so we can do this work without having to worry about making enough money from it. But the work will be like at a different level than what I've been doing. It'll be something kind of new, and but I can't predict exactly what it's going to be. I sort of have a sense of maybe some of the aspects that might allow it to come into beingness, but until I make this connection, and maybe it'll be my soulmate, maybe it'll also be other people that join with us. I just see it as sort of a synergy, but that hasn't manifested quite yet. So I'm just on my own still, and like maybe a next step would be to join with some type of larger initiative. I think I might enjoy and feel a little bit more secure in that type of being part of something and contributing to it and receiving some kind of income from that than just sort of being sort of on my own, doing my own thing. But even like the ultimate vision is what I just described, that I just have that in my heart, that's sort of coming, and it hasn't quite expressed itself yet, and I don't know exactly what it is until it does express itself.
Beautiful.
So,
well, it's definitely coming, that's for sure. And I love that vision because it creates flexibility, it creates openness, it creates connection, and allowing many different possibilities depending on how the world evolves. So it just allows for a lot of co-creation with both the world and the universe, the community, and your close relationships. So it's really, really a beautiful vision that you have there. I like it.
Yeah, and I do consider the water focus that I have right now, like to create this water study group specifically on my interest of exploring the energetic and multidimensional properties of water. Like that feels part of my new. But right now it's not like a money-making thing, and maybe it never will be, but that feels like part of the next phase. The heart math stuff feels like part of what I've been doing for ages, and I feel like something else is coming, or some next iteration, because I've just been doing this kind of the same thing for quite a long time.
Well,
and
the water,
like part of an older phase. Part of an older.
Yeah, you're ready for the new, for sure. The old is good as a tool, so it's sometimes it's like your tool chest. You get it out when you need it and utilize it as that, and try to not get, not have it control you, but you control it, right? But in the context of the water thing is very, very, very interesting. And in my experience, I haven't had success in working with the water group yet in terms of building a long-term stable organization with budgets and potentially larger budgets. But the essence of the potential of the water is unbelievable. There's so much potential, just simply in the context that water is life, that water is all of us, that we are so deeply connected to water. It's so much easier to connect someone to water and the spirituality and the sovereignty of water than to connect them to universal conscious energy, because it's so much more abstract. Whereas water is so direct in people's lives, it's just an easier sell. And then, but more importantly, water is basically the new gold, right? That the value of water in any work that's put into supporting water is so valuable, because on a whole across the world, it may take 10 years, it may take 20 years, maybe 30 years, but oil will go out of business and water will be one of the most valuable things on the planet in terms of just like not just its actual value, but also its resource value. So it's just a very interesting paradigm. It might take a little bit longer for that to all happen, but it could be a place that could support quite a large group of people. Who knows? Maybe nothing will happen, but I'm excited about it for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, cool.
Again, yeah. Well, my interest at the moment is just to create a study group of my own. Not the same group as the ones that are more doing the activist community stuff, but a study group for studying the energetic properties of water. And every time I bring it up at different events, there's like a huge amount of interest. I've like been spreading. That's part of what I've been focusing on, is like going to these things. And every time I bring up that topic, it's like huge energy behind it. So, but I haven't had time or energy bandwidth to like even gather all the email addresses that I've gotten for the people who said, yeah, I want to be part of that.
Yes,
I have to do that and have my first meeting, because my energy's been going to so many different things. But that's not anything I'm doing for money or even trying to do anything for. It's a sort of a study exploration group. So that I will be putting energy into that.
But some of the places you could experiment, and this is just ideas, you don't have to do any of this. You could build a value-based token model where, you know, that the actual token of the work that you're doing for, you know, studying water and giving that information to the world could actually, we call it social assets, you know, that social assets can actually grow in value. So it would be a long-term investment. And then the other one is you could work with a science institute and actually work with other scientists and actually build a platform where you could you know get grants for the work, you know, and actually have
that would be nice to get some kind of grants to do research and
exactly.
stuff. The other thing you'll have to explain to me when I have more time, the social thing. But I do need to.
All right, blessings, love. I'll talk to you later, and enjoy and take care.
Thank you for your support, and thank you for sharing my work, and we'll be in touch.
Definitely. All right, take care, Dana. So, Pressy, bye.
Happy new moon.
Happy new moon. Whoop, whoop. We're almost exactly on it. Starting the new moon month.
Oh.
I think it's at 9 o'clock, somewhere around then. Pressy would know better than me. Pressy, do you know when the new moon is? Are you even there, Pressy? I don't know if she's actually here. Maybe she'll unmute.
It's 9:41. 9:41.
9:41 is the new moon. So Pacific time, I think. Great. All right. Take care, Dana. So we have Pressy.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Pressy, Hanal, Temetope. Let's all get you guys checking in. And then also, if you could link at the bottom, we want to go through value tracking. We want to go through the life support systems, which would include documentations, value tracking. So yeah, how are you doing, Pressy, Hanal, Temetope? You guys all here? You guys communicating?
Yeah, I'm doing good.
Cool.
I will do the value tracking. I also did the value the documentation, if I am correct.
Can you link it at the bottom?
All of it. Okay, I will put it.
Cool. So, and you said you already did the value tracking?
I will do the value tracking.
You have not? Okay, so Pressy wants to help with that. Hanal and Temetope, you could help with the value tracking as well. Pressy wants to show you. And then Pressy is going to link the life support. Oh, wait, so we're going to have a separate document for each person. So one of the hardest parts of life support is from meeting to meeting, connecting all the dots together. So for example, the next meeting, you know, Glow comes back, she says she wants to work on all these things, but then she has to say it all over again, and we can take another hour just getting to the point where we were at today. Right, so the goal is at the next life support meeting, you go into the work that Glow did, you do a quick summary of what she did before, and where we're at, what were her next steps, what were her tasks to do, and then you start from where you left off. Right, so that's the most important part of life support, and this is actually the same thing as a staffing role for like a board meeting or whatever, except it's life support. Okay, so you're basically connecting the dots. Like if Dana, Glow, or Angie come back to a meeting in the future, we would immediately connect the dot from the previous meeting, have all the notes and information from before to be ready and accessible for it now. Okay, does that make sense?
Okay.
It's hard to do that though, trust me. So the question is, where do we put all this information? There should be a life support, you know, team doc or it's like a support team doc, or there's something. There should be somewhere where we store all the information. Yeah, Pressy.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I did a document, a separate document for the Naglo and Anki. Is it correct?
Yeah, each one gets their own doc. That's exactly correct.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect.
So what I'm going to do now is to summarize everything that we have talked about them and link it on the life support team doc.
Oh yeah. Just link it on either the support team doc or life support team doc. I mean, wherever you want to link it, we just need to know where it is so that we can find it next time. So for example, if someone came back during the new moon, we could do additional work with them from where we left off, right? Yeah. Also, for both you guys, for all of you guys, we could do work for you now. If you guys had any needs or life support needs, and then also we can do that tonight during the new moon. We could have space and time for all of us to go through our life support needs too. Also, we can go through basic life needs matrix, which is also important.
Okay.
Basic.
I get the support team doc.
Yeah, if you can just link it to the bottom, that would be helpful.
Yes.
So again, this is like the focal point of what we do as the FCRAN Community Network is our support team. And our life support team, basically, we will help anybody with any goal or project that they're working with, ideally focused towards a social or, helping the world sort of project, and then just help them organize it, and then from there it starts building, stability, and then, eventually it might be budgets, and we could actually support ourselves with it as well. So that is what we do in just a pure sense right there. You guys just saw it firsthand in action. As we go through the Unity methodology, anybody can learn to do this. It does not need to be me. Plus, we record and broadcast everything, so all of the information is accessible to the public to get help for their own projects, so they can just watch. And we can even do video indexing, where we index, about financing and budgeting, index about marketing, and different models of what we cover for various people, so that people could actually find specific information that may be applied to them.
Okay.
So, are there any questions? Is there anything anyone wants to bring up? Does anyone want to take on the basic life needs matrix responsibility that needs to get done? Because this is a responsibility. Next steps, preparing for the new moon. Pressy, Hanel, Temitope, anything else? Yeah.
What is the basic life needs matrix?
Yeah.
I'm only going to go over that for the person who wants to take on the responsibility and do the work. Otherwise, they were not going over it. So again, with me, it's always taking on responsibility to do work. Otherwise, I'm not going to tell you anything, because trust me, been there, done that. I've explained so many things so many times, and the work never gets done, right? So if there's no interest in doing the work, there's no interest for me to explain the work.
Okay, I'll do it.
Hanel wants to do it?
Yes.
All right, so Hanel, the most important thing here is a voting form. Do you know how to do Google voting forms?
No, not really.
Okay, so you would just, yeah, you can meet with Pressy, so you'd want to schedule with Pressy.
Okay.
And can you see the notes here?
Yes, I can see
You can
it.
see the notes. So at the bottom, I put the scheduling with Pressy for training on voting form creation. From there, I need to get the link to the basic life needs matrix, and then we call that BLN, the BLN matrix, right? And then we're gonna, I would actually create, let's just do it on another step. So let's we're gonna create a doc for the voting form question. So this is going to be a very important questionnaire, and you're going to create a doc. I would call the doc like the BLN matrix questionnaire doc. Okay?
Okay.
And then with that doc, and also you can go over Pressy about creating documents. that they need to be, you need to have the owner of the document be an official FQN account. Okay. So that's super important. Temetopi can also help you with that too. So from there, we're gonna use the link to the Basic Life Needs Matrix, and then you're gonna start working out all of the questions. So we want to make sure the questions are in the correct order. The actual Basic Life Need Matrix basically is questions, but we're gonna want to improve the questions, and then after we get all the questions correct in the right order, then we'll make the voting form from the questions. All right.
Right.
Yeah. So I can get that for you now, or you can just ask me for the Basic Life Needs Matrix later. But then eventually we'll have a voting form that everyone votes on in relationship to their basic life needs. And there's three parts. No, let's just keep it simple. Let's just do the simple basic life needs, and then I think there's just two parts. There's just the BLN and the community support / projects. So we'll put that all into the voting form, and then that'll be done. We use the BLN matrix to prioritize. So let's say like there was 10 people, let's say 15 people showed up tonight at the new moon. First, we would break up into 2 groups. So we'd have 2 groups of basically 7 to 8 people. All right. The second thing that would happen is that you do the BLN matrix. Ideally, after multiple new and full moons, everyone would have already done the BLN matrix, and then we use the BLN matrix along with input priorities to rank all of the individuals in each group. Once the rank is completed, then that is the agenda, and then you start with the top person. That can be very fast because you can do all of that beforehand, but also you could just randomly choose someone to go first, and then whoever goes first just goes first, and then that's that. Okay, so it's pretty easy to get the agenda set up. We also like to break out into smaller to buddy teams at the beginning. If there's a lot of people, like if you guys had all shown up here at the beginning of the meeting, which you guys were all late, then we would have broken up into buddy teams at the beginning, but we didn't do that because there was only 3 of us at the beginning of the meeting, so we were a buddy team.
I'm sorry, my calendar shows up that the meeting starts at 4:15. That's why I actually thought that I was early.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. So let's check out the calendar, and we might need to fix it in the future. So if I go to
series session, says 4:15 the meeting.
Weird, because mine says
well, my time, of course. UTC minus 5.
That's weird, because mine says 2 to 4. Pressy, did you see what?
In my place, it starts on the top of an hour.
Yeah, top of the hour.
I start at 5 a.m. in my place.
Yeah. So what about the new moon? What time? What time does the new moon session start for you, Hannah?
For me, the new moon is just a second, 9:41 p.m.
Okay, but you need to be looking at the series website. So let me put it in the chat window. So it's series.unity.fun. That has the current calendar of all of the sessions.
In the series session?
Yeah, the series.unity.fun has the calendar of all the current sessions.
But it's on after the link. I put the link after Jay's notes. Here.
Awesome. All right. So, Hanal, why don't when you're ready to work on that responsibility, your first task will be to ask me for the BLN matrix and to create the document, and then we can copy and paste it in there. Okay, so we'll go through that later when we get to that. But let's go ahead. If are there any other questions on the life support program or the support team or the new moon? Would that be a no? No questions?
No questions.
No questions from my end.
All right. Is there anything else anyone wants to say before we check out?
Well, no, from my end, Jay.
Yeah.
I was thinking that when you want to ask questions, I was thinking maybe there should be some form of seriousness in the sense that you're having a challenge with your business, or you're having a challenge, you need some form of commitment when it comes to requesting for support and the rest. I don't know if I'm wrong, if I'm looking at it from that angle.
Well, again, you're talking about organizational support. So our whole thing is a little less formal. So the foundation the foundation of the entire system is life support. So life support means that our focus and our goal is to support Teme Tope as a conscious being and individual, and we want to help you however we possibly can. That could include doing your personnel support to make sure you're an effective functional worker. That could include your basic life needs for living in Nigeria, and supporting your interaction with your communities or your family to make sure that your needs are met, whether it's your healthcare, your wellness, any of that. It could also include finances and helping you support your budget, and whether you need to change your budget or anything related to that. Or if all your basic needs are met and you're doing good work, you might be interested in setting up your own business or setting up an organization on water goals or setting up some sort of cause. And then we would want to help you with that. So it doesn't matter that someone's not necessarily organized as an organization and doesn't have an existing business, because our focus is the individual and helping support that individual. Because what happens is that most times when you support an individual, eventually once they get their life together and they get all their basic life needs met, they may want to create an organization or a business and then do some good for the rest of the world. So it continues on. So that's sort of the model that we work with, where it's really specifically focusing on each individual as a conscious being on the planet. So that's and we can scale that quite easily, because the life support program is not about me. It's not about Teme Tope. It's not about Pressy. It's not about Hanel. It's about everybody supporting everybody else, and that all of us have something to contribute and help in the moment to give someone's the recommendations and the possible options for how they can improve their life or improve their work, right? So between the four of us, we could easily oversee a group of 20 people, right? We could easily have 4 groups of 5 people. We could probably do 25 people or even 30 people, like, so and then you guys would help create the space, make sure you have the agenda clear of who goes first. But then from that point, it's not up to you to know the answers to the questions that people ask. Anybody in the group can support each other. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So again, we're not offering specific guaranteed support for anything unless they're a client. If they want to pay us money, we will work and give them what they need, right? But if they're gonna just they want our free services for support team, it's just all by volunteer, and it's all just people supporting each other, and it's like self-organized support. As an individual or as any one of us, we're not required to have the right answers. It's just about creating the space. And then let's say we had 4 groups simultaneously going, with 6, 7 people in each one. Someone might ask a really important question and be like, nobody in this group knows the answer to that. We have no idea. But there's 3 other groups right now simultaneously going on. We could just put in the chat, on the series group or whatever group we're in, or we could have someone bounce over to the other group and ask the question to another group, and boom, you have 3 other groups that might have the answer or have a good answer, or a better answer. So it just creates a lot of opportunity, because you basically have so many people that can support each other, even if you don't have the exact right answer in that particular group. Okay.
Yeah.
So any other questions, Teme Tope, Hanel, Pressy?
Oh, I don't have any other question.
Awesome. All right. So let's go ahead and check out. So I'm gonna go first. So for Hanel, I'm committed to, for at least the next few hours, I think we still have some potential activity checking in to do. So why don't you check in with me about...
That's what I'm about to tell you, Jess, that I have to finish the stage 5
training. And
Okay, but that's not you'll get a checkout and you can tell us what you're going to be working on. But as far as the activity team and the deputy position, all of that supersedes any other work that you have, right? So you're gonna want to keep checking in every like 15 minutes to half an hour, like check in within a half hour or so, and then we can see if we can schedule for later on during Cobalt.
Okay.
We'll just see if we have time. If it works out, it'd be great to jump back on Hangout or Zoom or Discord and keep moving forward with the activity work and the executive work, because I got so much things going on, and we just need to keep prioritizing and keep training and get you set up with all the work they're doing. So I'm excited about you being involved. So, and I'm glad that you made it to this meeting, because you got to see the essence of what we do, as far as like directly helping people with their both their basic life needs and their businesses and organizations and ideas. So what you'll see a lot of is that with even people from the United States, people don't have their basic life needs met, right? They're able to, eat and sleep, and they're okay overall, but they don't know where they're going to get their paycheck from. They don't know where the finances are coming from. They don't have a stable budget, right? So we can help anybody from anywhere in the world, including the United States. And then as far as me, I thought the session went really well. I would give it like an 8.5. Is anyone doing notes right now? Where are we checking out? I'm checking out the bottom. Yeah, so I give it an 8.5. I thought it was really awesome. I feel like it's still very preliminary in terms of us getting our life support program and organizational support set up correctly, but it's still fun to do this. I think it's our first time we've had the public invited. And then we might get people that come to the New Moon. I invited people to the New Moon as well, so we'll see what that happens. And we haven't even started Facebook outreach or any outreach for anything yet. Once we go public and we just start doing social media, we could easily get dozens of people on our calls, or even hundreds, who knows. So from there, my priorities are definitely recruitment. There's still recruitment to be done. I also have priorities for doing some mailings and some government compliance related to our banking. Canopy, huge priority, doing our asset management, which we need help with. And also just organizing Canopy and organizing the scheduling and all the new workers and the trainings. And also I need to update the series website with all the videos. So Pressy, Tope, anyone who wants to help with session support, maybe we can get Gino on that. Like I totally failed and did not get the videos updated on the series website. Bad. So.
Oh, I have a question.
Yeah.
Is the staffing am I correct? Staffing and session support are related to each other. Correct?
Let me think about this. So staffing and session support. Yes and no. So everything's related to everything else.
They're connected.
Well,
because on the session is session support / staff.
Okay, but let's think about it in a more specific way. There's the session support team. What is the focus of the session support team, and what is the focus of the staffing team, MBE staffing team? I think that's a better question, right? Isn't that your question? Yeah, so in terms of the teamwork, the primary focus of the session support team, and when we hire someone, we want to hire someone for the session support team. They'll have to be a global worker, and it needs to be a small budget. We do not have a lot of money for session support. But that worker will almost exclusively focus on supporting the planetary sessions and doing coordination and make sure the planetary sessions go smoothly. Does that make sense? And that has almost nothing to do with staffing, with MBE staffing. MBE staffing is almost exclusively focused on supporting the decision makers in relationship to the board voting and the legal decision making over all the different types of organizational decisions that we make in the network. All right? So they're very, very different. Does that answer your question, Pressy?
Yes.
Yeah, so Pressy, do you want to check out next? And then we'll go to Anel and Tamitope.
Okay, I will check out next. I will give the session 7 to Good to help others to build up their organization and support them and collaborate with other teams. Hoping for more sessions like Taguig, and I've been working with the Panukit training and hope to get. I'm looking forward to get trained with to get trained anybody or someone on canopy to start the canopy session work and to get ready on the canopy session work. And also, I've been doing Google Calendar updates and sessions. And I will be focusing recruitment, hoping to have an agreed session scheduled for recruitment and also more canopy session work and hoping that we get through the taxes work session, all taxes work to finish before the due date.
Great, thanks, Pressy. Wait, I'm putting on mute. Yeah, thanks, Pressy. That's great. One thing I just remembered that's super important is that we did really bad on the scheduling. So you guys did do good on the agenda scheduling and making sure that we tracked, 20, 30 minutes for each of the 4 people we were helping. But the problem was that we didn't do our normal session timing. So we should have taken breaks at the top of each hour, and we should have done stretching at the bottom of each hour, and we're supposed to do a breath at the 45-minute and 15-minute mark. So we did really bad at that, so I'm going to bring us down to an 8, and then I also think that we should do policy tracking on that one. Policy tracking did not do, what do you call it? Timekeeping for the session. So when you guys come to these sessions, these public sessions where we have the public coming in, ideally when you're taking on, like, you shouldn't even be here if you're not taking on positions. So Teme Tope, you would be filling out policy track. Teme Tope, if you didn't do any notes, if you didn't do any timekeeping and you didn't do anything, then that would be policy keeping, because you're not supposed to be here if you're not actually doing work, right? So so everybody needs to be contributing, and you just do the positions of the timekeeping and making sure we're following all of our normal session policies for the public sessions. Yeah, as long as there are sessions. If they're not our sessions, then we do whatever the host wants, right? But when it's our sessions, we want to follow all of our normal policies as best as we can. Yeah. All right. So let's go to either Teme Tope or Hanel to check out.
Sorry, I assume that we don't have to do it because it was a public session, but now I know that we have to do the same.
Yeah, because this was our session. It was our organizational support session that we hosted. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So for example, for the new moon,
we are not going the same.
Yeah, if we're not hosting, if it's someone else's session, then obviously we wouldn't force them to take breaks, right? We would encourage it, but they don't have to, right? Yeah. So for tonight, or for the new moon session, we would just run it just like our normal life support sessions. Yeah. Just like in this one, just because it's organizational support, it's still a subset of life support in the support team. So all of our organizational support sessions are run exactly the same as our life support sessions. There's no difference. It's exactly the same thing. It's all based on individuals. But
sorry, I assume that we don't need.
Say again, Hanel. You want to check out?
I'm sorry that I assume that we don't need the breaks. I should ask you a while ago, but
no worries. It's just filling out policy tracking and just keeping track of what we did well and what we need to improve on. And then in terms of communicating, it's fine to just communicate on the series chat, on Discord or the Jello team, wherever we want to communicate, it's fine, or the chat here within Zoom. All right, so Pressy, anything else you wanted to do to check out, or we move on?
We can move on to the next person.
All right, Teme Tope, Hanel, either you like to check out?
Okay, I'd like to check out. I give the session a 7. One of the take homes is the support. Now I understand what it really means when you're talking about support. What I was expecting was a formal setting where they come out looking all serious, looking for support. But now I see that even in an informal setting, we can actually support individuals, we can actually support them with their businesses. Not actually are we supporting their businesses. We are actually creating a platform for them to be able to get help, get assistance, and at the same time provide the same assistance for other people. So I see that it does not just end with us giving those advice and support the way I was thinking initially, that it goes beyond just that individual, it goes beyond the person. It might just be a community that would learn from such support that we're giving. So yes, I have a better idea of what we're doing. I appreciate the efforts. And going forward, I will still keep scheduling I have schedules for recruitment and trainings. Actually, I was going through some trainings today on recruitment, and I'll keep at it. Looking forward to the session that we have in an hour, maybe 2 hours. Check.
Great, thanks, Temitope. It's everything you said there was exactly right on correct. You just understand the life support. Maybe you might even want to get more involved with life support. Presley has taken on the life support program, but it would be great to have help with that because I feel like you understand the life support program, and that might be a good fit for you. We currently don't have a budget for the life support program. It's all just extra, but someone does need to be responsible for it. Eventually, one day we'll have a budget for it. But right now, Pressy is doing that, and she's taking on way too much. So maybe that's something you could take on in addition to working with the Outreach and Recruitment Commission. Obviously, the Outreach and Recruitment Commission is your priority. Yeah. So let's go to Hanel and get one last checkout.
Okay, I will leave the session at 8. Actually, it gives me a lot of understanding of what we do as a company. So for me, that was really important. I've been reading a lot about the company as well. And I'm in training, so this is the first time that I join a session, as you can see, and I find it really interesting how the company goal is to help the community.
Yeah, that's what we do for sure, is helping people and helping the world. Like, if we can't help each other, we won't be able to help the planet, right? So it all starts by helping each individual, and if we support each individual as a unique, important being, then that person can help more people, and then it just will spread out, and then eventually everyone's helping each other, supporting each other, and then you transform through life support, right? So I believe that a lot can be done with this. This is not the only program, the only model that we have. This is just one of the models that we have. So, and Temitope is right. It is an informal model primarily because we have no capacity to formalize this because it would be way too expensive. Because it's just so much work to help a single individual or a single organization. So in a formal setting, we have to charge money, and then it becomes client work. And then we make it formal. But if no one's going to be paying any money, we're definitely going to be doing it informally because that's the only way we can scale it and help more and more people. So I think this was a really good session. I'm really glad all three of you came and watched and participated and helped take notes and got involved. Temitope, again, fill out policy tracking if you didn't do any work, like notes, timekeeping, all that. But otherwise, it's all good for you to be here. We want people to come and experience this. This is part of the series session. It only happens once every 2 years. So it's a pretty big deal. And I will be back for the new moon. And thank you all. And we'll talk to you guys later.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.